Spilling the tea with Sandy.
Cayman's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Brought to you exclusively on Kiss FM by J. Michael. Fashion for everyone. Good morning, Sandy.
Hey, good morning, Blake and Aaron. How are you guys doing?
We are good. What do you got for us?
Fantastic. All right. So we have, this is quite a shocking story. Remember the lady who was involved, Judith Molly Ann Douglas, 57 years old. She was involved in the rental scam.
Yeah.
Thanks to CMR, the police recognized she was a scammer and so many victims came forward. Well, they have now confirmed that they've charged her with 31 more counts.
Wow.
It's mind-boggling, to be honest. 31 more counts of obtaining property by deception, each involving amounts between $700 and $3,400.
Yikes. People are working hard out there to make this money, and someone's just coming in just to take it for nothing.
Yeah, it's
Usually
pretty shocking.
Where there's smoke, there's
she
fire.
has been remanded into custody, I understand.
Really?
And this has got to be like, I don't know what the final figure is, but that's a lot of money.
Well,
so we'll keep you guys updated. Yeah, we'll keep you updated as her situation progresses.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday at the Chamber Luncheon, the Premier, the Honorable Wayne Panton, announced that the banks have agreed. So the Cayman Islands Bankers Association has actually agreed to 30-day notice for rate increases and reductions. I guess it's a little bit. So anytime the interest rates now go up in the U.S., they'll give you 30 days notice. The good news is yesterday the Feds met and they decided not to increase the interest rates. They're going to just hold it steady for a little bit. So fingers crossed that will continue for a while.
Mm-hmm.
3 vessels were stolen over the weekend. The RCAPS is asking people to be more vigilant with their boats. One ended up in Cayman Brac, which there was a little bit of a side story with that. Some rumors, because they didn't find the individuals that came in on this fairly decent, looks like a nice boat. But they were saying that, those persons might have been involved in the shooting that happened on Saturday morning. So they've confiscated the boat, they're processing it, and the police haven't actually said anything about that particular line of inquiry as yet. So we'll continue to keep our ears low to the ground. And in a super interesting story, a woman is suing Cost You Less after slipping and falling on a grape.
On a grape?
On a grape?
Yes.
I mean,
how big was this grape?
I don't know.
What do you have to do? Put up signs down, watch for grapes?
Grape crossing.
This is like the McDonald's thing where the woman sued for the hot coffee, and then
you know what? That case, I'll send you a link off air. That case, they should have been sued. There's a long history.
Oh no, I got that. Yeah, I remember that whole thing because there was like a documentary on it. But
they had warning upon warnings upon warnings, and
still, it's like at some point, it's like the people who keep driving their GPS straight into the harbor in Hawaii. Like at some point, you got to use your eyes and not just listen.
Got to use your brain.
So
did she get hurt?
Yeah. So she slipped and fell and she suffered injuries. So we'll keep an eye on this one because this one sounds a little interesting.
We'll see. I slipped and fell at the.
So those are your news headlines for today.
I've slipped twice at a gas station.
Yeah. Gotta run
when it's raining. All right, bye.
We see, actually right here. You see, you are on both.
Bigger, better, bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's Community Radio.
We are still spilling the tea.
And committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs.
Actually, I'm a little bit early for Bobo, but yes, I had some mornings I got to kick Blake and Aaron out, man. They just keep talking. Give me 1 second, folks. This will give me an opportunity to just grab some links while I'm at it and get this going. I think I have until 7:35 now. We pushed back the start time just a little bit longer on radio so that we can wrap up the news because we're always a little bit we're always running into a little bit of overtime. So give me 1 second. Grabbing folks, we still don't have Facebook fully operational yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab the link for the community page and then stick it on the regular page. I don't know what's going on Facebook. I don't know how long this situation is going to last with Facebook, but we'll we'll definitely keep an eye on it. Good morning, everybody. So I'm just sending out my links so that we can all make sure you guys join in. All righty. There we go. A super interesting show we had yesterday, Lordy. I took the cake and the cake mix and the kitten and caboodle. So let me just see here. All right, 34 minutes. Good morning, beautiful people. Ooh, my tummy's growling this morning. It's like fight the hunger by drinking water. 30 seconds. $15 seconds.
Bigger, better, bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's community radio.
We are still spilling the tea.
And committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill weekdays from 7:30 a.m. for Premier Access, Cayman Voices, Truthful Thursdays, and much more. Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman,
Live, direct.
it's the cold, hard truth. Now, join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
All right, good morning, beautiful people. Welcome to another edition of the Cold Hard Truth. I hope that you guys are having a fantastic, fantabulous Thursday. Can't believe it. Thursday already. Tomorrow's Friday, and I still can't believe that we're halfway through the month of July. Or June. My gosh, I'm speeding through. June. Yes, still June. OMG, July is next. Month end is going to be our anniversary celebration. And then we've got my birthday next month. All kind of partying is going to be going on around here. So we are super, super excited. So yes. And somebody just sent me something. It's coming off the coast of Africa. A little wave that we're going to be watching. Ooh la la. Ooh, honey chill. So good morning, everyone. Check Facebook. I've shared the link. It's still not on the regular page, so you might not get that notification, but I have shared the link, folks. It's on the community page, but go ahead and click on the link, log in, join the show. So yes. Okay, just checking a few messages. We look good. We've got some guests coming in this morning. From Broadhurst Attorney at Law, we're going to be talking about concussions, something that's really, really important to understand, know about from a medical perspective. Okay, let me see what's going on. Everybody looks good? Beautiful. Okay, let's get this train going. Toot toot. All right, folks. So let me tell you a few things about yesterday. So first of all, if you missed yesterday's program, Lord Jesus, you missed an interesting conversation. Lordy, I can't. Some days I'm almost speechless. Can't really make this stuff up. But we reached out to this guy, Garfield Rob, who is a prolific. When I say prolific, I mean this guy must get up every single day and think about how to take advantage of people. One thing I do want to correct, someone had said on the program, they had sent in a message saying that one of his victims was actually Miss Jenny Manderson, which is France Manderson's mom, and he ripped her off. And I can confirm that she has confirmed that this is absolutely not the case. She doesn't even know who he is. So let's not give the devil more credit, I guess, than he deserves. And we want to always try to be accurate on this show. If somebody gives us wrong information, we're going to correct it as soon as possible. So Miss Jenny Manderson only used Hides and Sons. She says that they're her go-to people. She's never used this guy before. She's never heard of him. She doesn't know anything about him. So I'm not sure where that West Bay got that misinformation, but they did get it wrong. But they did say, and they seem to know, I think their father is connected to the construction industry. They seem to know that this man is always defrauding seniors as well as others. He doesn't seem to care who he takes to the cleaners, right? So, apparently they've had some issues with him, even as far back as after Hurricane Ivan. So this man has been at it for a really, really long time. What I find, as I said yesterday, is most of these people never stop. They are so hell-bent on separating you from your hard-earned money that they will do everything in their power imaginable to do so. And it is very, very sad because you as consumers need to be extremely vigilant. And so if you're not vigilant, that's when these guys, I hate to tell you, are going to take full advantage of you. That's why we out them here in the program, because I find that, you need to know. And if you knowledge is power. There's a saying that knowledge is power. And that is very, very true. And unfortunately, if you do not have, the information and the relevant knowledge, you can't protect yourself from these guys. And people like him, boy, he must be good at what he does, because he continues to get clients and he continues to take advantage of those clients, which is most unfortunate. So spread the word far and near. Garfield Rob, ROBB, is going around robbing people, literally, right? Lots of allegations swirling around this man. He seems like he's just a crook through and through. And thank you to our Jamaican friends and family to the show. They called in and they were like, listen, dude, you're an embarrassment to us. We can't believe that you're on the radio saying half the stuff that you're not half. 95% of what he was saying was shocking. He actually, which I thought was interesting, answered the phone and stayed on the line for well over an hour. And he talked and talked and talked. And well, you guys know, we let people talk, because what I have discovered in my short life is you let people talk enough and they will eventually expose themselves. They will expose their hand. And so is the case with Garfield Rob. He talked and he talked and he talked about how the FBI, he's wanted by the FBI, and that's why he left Jamaica. And I mean, it was just so, he's a millionaire. I mean, so much of it was untrue and some of it was probably true. And he takes no accountability and no responsibility for his actions. So I know that Kevin is going to re-air that segment of the show. So check it out on social media. We're still trying to wait to see when we might actually be back on Facebook proper. And that's probably when we will air it. Yeah. So it's just, it's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. So the police are aware of him. He's already in court for 12, 13 charges. It was interesting that he wouldn't talk about the court proceedings, talking about, he's leaving that for his lawyer. He wouldn't talk about the allegations that he basically is a wanted man back in Jamaica for very serious offenses. He wouldn't talk about the allegation that a drug boat that came into this country in East End with a missing person is somehow linked to him. He didn't want to talk about his wife, which, by the way, I actually found out from my sources that the wife was arrested along with him back in, let me see when that would have been now. She was arrested. Oh gosh, I'll get you all the dates here in a second. But she was arrested the last time, and it looks like she just wasn't charged with him. Interesting, because I think that they need to charge her. So she was arrested back in 2021, in March of 2021, when he was arrested with obtaining property by deception. But I haven't heard anything about any charges being laid against her. Now, RCIPS, I need y'all to pay attention now. When you have a spouse that is aware of the fact that their husband is a thief, yes, is in court for multiple counts of obtaining property by deception, and they continue to take out a business license so that the husband can operate, doing it to more and more victims, although he's already charged with countless counts of this offense, it's time you actually look at his wife. His wife is not just complacent. She is an active participant in him scamming people. And I was very much ashamed to hear that his wife was actually a Caymanian. I was like, what? That makes me ashamed, not necessarily surprised, but ashamed, because we have our own homegrown thieves without a doubt. And she seems to be one of them now. So nobody can make you be something or do something that you're not, to be very, very clear. If that's not who you are and you happen to find a spouse that is shady and untruthful and whatever, you're not going to follow suit with them just because they're your spouse. In fact, most people would end up divorcing your behind, because they're like, listen, you're not going to tear me down in the gutter with you. I'm not going to participate in this illegal activity. And she's also allowing her bank account, her Butterfield bank account, to be used for the proceeds of this money that he's taken in to go to. Now, the man claims he's a millionaire, but yet he also admitted to having quite a bit of debt with, I think he said it was Royal Bank. I mean, the story was just all over the place. And I think with someone like him, we just let him talk, right? Somebody said yesterday, which I thought was so interesting. They said, my God, Sandy, he was worse than George and what's his name? George and Quincy combined. Because, you know, the two of them talked themselves into, like, we were just all here with our jaw dropping at how much they talked. And when, you know, sometimes you got to just know what's the old country song? You got to know when to hold them and when to fold them. Sometimes you got to just know when to keep your mouth shut. And they all had diarrhea of the mouth and just didn't know when to keep their mouth shut. But this guy yesterday, I agree with that listener. He took the cake. He was the icing, the cake, the sprinkles on the cake, everything. Because he just had severe diarrhea of the mouth. And you guys were calling in saying, sir, you know, you heard the Jamaican guy, he's a fan of the show. He's like, sir, shut your mouth. Stop talking. This is not benefiting you. It's not helping you. And he continued and he continued. And well, it's a talk show. So I'm here. You know, he even made me run into overtime, which I had an event that I needed to run to. So I said, well, honey child, you want to keep talking? Keep talking. Now the RCIPS has a full leg up on their ongoing investigations into this man, because he had a lot to say that they should be looking into. WORC, y'all need to get on the ball with this man. Why is he even still here? He needs to go to jail, serve his jail time, and then a deportation order needs to be issued for him. Y'all need to pay attention. You know, I had a lady call me after the program to say that, you know, she's like, Sandy, are these legislators, are the people that, you know, are the powers that be, do they pay attention? I was like, honey, I don't know. I don't know. It's just unbelievable. I had one person said, Sandy, I had to go to the bathroom. I couldn't even go to the bathroom because I was holding it. It dried up because I couldn't go to the bathroom. I could not leave from where I was listening to the program. That is how intriguing it was, because he just kept digging a hole. We gave him the shovel, and boy, he just went to town digging. Let's see what becomes of it. Ransford is asking if he was arrested. Not yet, but soon come again, hopefully. Good morning to Miss Vernita. Irvelin is here. Irvelin is one of his victims. And of course, he was trying to take a dig at her as well as others yesterday. Everybody he attacked that was a victim. So he talked about Mr. Jerry. Oh, he's this and that. And I had, it's like, dude, it can't be possible that every single person is wrong and you're the only person that's right, that hasn't committed a fraud or theft. Everybody else is misunderstanding. Everybody else, is a crook. He talked about there's a complex on West Bay Road, not West Bay Road, and Walker's Road, sorry, that he never completed it for. He's like, well, they're a bunch of crooks. I'm like, dude, people gave you their hard-earned money. You have zero respect for how hard people have to work for their money. Just because you're able to get it easily by defrauding people doesn't mean that most people go around doing that. And I got to tell you the truth. Everybody in Cayman knows that if this was Jamaica, this man, without a doubt, would be in a very different situation, because Jamaicans wouldn't be playing around with him in their own country. It's only Cayman that some people can come and run a scam. Irvelin says, no electricity in my area. What area are you in? We could check the outage map and see what's going on. Morning to Wee Wee. Good morning, Toby. Miss Iva is here. Bright and happy morning, says Miss Dean. So good to see you. Hot Thursday morning. Heat is on, peeps. Good morning, Vicky. Miss Bonnie joining us from East End. First Lady Jayanne says, good morning to you all. Have yourself a blessed and safe day. Miss Olivia Carmely is here. She's reminding me that my birthday is in August, not July. Oh, I know when it is, honey child. I'm well aware of the big birthday that's coming up. Super excited. I'm going to be treating myself like the queen that I am this year. Most years, I don't have a birthday party, especially because my daughter is she's in August. She's about a week ahead of me. She's the 9th and I'm the 18th. And so now everything's planning a party for her, and then she uses up my whole budget. So I'm always no party budget left after her. But this year, I'm going to treat myself even before my birthday comes. Yes. So it is what it is. I'm going to treat myself to a little ride, a little vehicle. And I wanted to do a trip in my birthday month. I wanted to go to Vegas, like a girls trip. But then the heat, everybody kept saying to me, oh God, Sandy, you're going to be so miserable in Vegas because it's so hot in August. And I was like, maybe. So I don't know yet. I haven't done anything, I haven't planned anything trip-wise. So I don't know yet what's going to happen with that. But I do have a bit of a delayed birthday trip planned for October. So in October, folks, I'm going to be gone for 2 whole weeks. We're going to do some pre-recorded content for y'all, but maybe we'll do the best of the Cold Hard Truth episodes. But yes, I'm taking 2 weeks vacation. I'm not telling y'all where I'm going until after the fact, but it is halfway around the world. And I'm so excited. It's one of those places that's on my bucket list, but I'm not going to tell y'all where it is, but I'm so excited. I cannot wait. Oh my gosh. The scenery that I've seen of this place is just so amazing. I want to take some amazing pictures, eat some good food. You guys know I love food, and I love trying new foods from all over the world and different regions. And, it's different. If you're in the Mediterranean, it's different trying a Mediterranean restaurant in Cayman versus a Mediterranean restaurant in the Mediterranean. You know what I mean? It's not the same. So I'm totally psyched and excited about this trip. It's going to be the first trip without the baby, my daughter, since she's been born, a proper vacation. So exciting times. I can't wait. So that's kind of like my birthday gift to myself. I'm giving myself a lot of gifts this year. Hello. I'm going all out. So, but I don't know if I'm going to do anything in August yet for my birthday. Like I'll probably just do like a little low-key dinner with a few people. Everybody's like, you have to do something in August. We'll see. All right. But yes, big birthday coming up in August. Patricia, good morning. Miss Barbara, how are you? So yesterday I was rushing to try to get out of here. Garfield made me go into overtime, which, by the way, on radio, we can't go into overtime, especially not on a Wednesday, but we've been told keep it to 10:30 because on Wednesday, there's another show that comes on after us, right? So just to be clear, we continue the show on social media. So it might cut us off on radio, but we're still going on Facebook and YouTube. So if you ever want to hear, like if you're listening to the radio and you're thinking, oh, how did that end? It was cut short. Go to Facebook and YouTube and you'll get to see the full video. And like I said, we're actually going to clip that interview and play the whole thing again. So I was going to the Chamber Luncheon yesterday. That was their 37th. Was it 37th or 27th? Oh, gosh. Hold on. Let me try to refresh my memory. I think it's maybe 37th. Annual parliamentarian luncheon. So they do these luncheons once a year where they basically allow chamber members and people in the business community to come and have, listen to what the premier, the leader of government business, now called the premier, has to say about, the state of, it's almost like a state of the nation address, like what's going on in the country sort of thing. So I must say, I'm just trying to find, it was the 27th annual parliamentary luncheon, and it was held at the Kimpton, and we were supposed to be there by 11:30 and be seated by 11:30, but of course with, Garfield going on and on and on, that didn't happen. But it was interesting. First of all, the crowd was massive, over 400 people. I think that may have been the largest luncheon that they've ever had. The Kimpton, I had no idea that they had overflow parking, but apparently they have overflow parking like way at the end of the road, way in the back. They had to open up their overflow parking. It was a lot of people there. And they already had cleared the entire parking lot for this event anyway. So their entire regular parking lot was full, overflow parking, maxed. It was a good event. A lot of people there. What I like about these events is you get to see people that maybe you've not seen in a minute. And a lot of people are saying that they wish there's more opportunity to network with some of those people because it's a lot of people. And, you walk with your business card. Well, y'all know me. I walk with my little tapping card. Did I tell y'all I have this little metallic card where I just tap your phone. It saves all my details. Pretty cool. So yeah, so it was a good luncheon. People like the Chief Justice is there. Other MPs, of course, show up. Who's who in the world of business. The Chamber is a pretty large organization and they have a lot of members. And so a lot of their members will come out. They'll sponsor tables and stuff as well. So one of the media tables, for example, was sponsored by R3. They had some of the speakers, which included Shamari from Health City, because they're like one of the sort of big sponsors of the event. R3 also spoke this year. I think DART is a big sponsor, but they didn't speak. They allowed R3 to speak to kind of take up their slot. So R3 is a nonprofit organization. At some point, we're going to have them on the show so you guys can hear a little bit more about what it is that they do. And the DART organization has been a supporter and continues to be a supporter of R3 to the tune of, I think, $1 million, $500,000, something big. They're always giving them lots of money. And so one of the things with R3, this came up during the COVID pandemic, is they really look to support other organizations. So the DART organization might give them, it's called the R3 Foundation, such a charitable organization. So they might give them a donation of say $500,000, and then they'll specify that it is to go towards, the agencies that protect us. So like border control, RCIPS, who else protects, like the protection agencies, like the regiment and that sort of stuff. So sometimes they're very, very specific with their donations, where it should be used, what, agencies should benefit from it. Maybe like sometimes there's like a mental health helpline, which I see on their website now. They says was rebranded. The Simpson Group donated $1 million for national security. That's the word I was looking for. And of course, the DART organization was a part of that initiative as well. So again, I know some people want to cuss and carry on about the DART organization, and some of that is really lack of information and knowledge, and they may not always understand some of the ways in which they are giving back to the community. So here they are. This is the Simpson Group. So in this picture, we have Kurt Walton, which, by the way, shout out to Kurt Walton. Let's give him a little round of applause this morning. Let me see. Where's my applause button? Yes, long time now. Long time. Cayman. I don't know who the last one was, but it's a long time that Cayman has not had. He is now going to be the designate commissioner of police. In other words, once Mr. Derek Burns, leaves at the end of the year, he will be filling those shoes. So a lot of people are excited to have a Caymanian back in there. Congratulations to Commissioner Designate Kurt Walton. We're hoping that you're up for the task, and we know that you've been at it long enough and you've done a lot of training. So we'll see. We hope that you engage with the media more. I think more of that needs to be done. And you need to do it at the grassroots level, sir. Not all of your advisors in the RCIPS understand what we mean by grassroots media, but come and talk to us and we can give you some advice. All right. So we also have here RCIPS Police Service. We have David Simpson, who's the managing director of the Simpson Group, Martin Roper, former governor of the Cayman Islands, Jackie Doak, director at DART, the Kenneth B. DART Foundation. So they have a nonprofit foundation. And Mr. Richard Hugh, who is part of the Readiness Committee, chair for R3 Foundation. So the Simpson Group pledged a donation of US $1 million to the R3 Cayman Foundation, requesting that up to 500,000 of that, so half of that, be designated for national security projects to benefit the Cayman Islands. So, this is good because, y'all see the crime situation. And, we don't want them to say they don't have the budget, they don't have the money, government can only give them so much. But when you have private organizations such as the Simpson Group, the DART Foundation coming forward and making these types of donations, they really can and do go a long way to assisting these agencies. So this happened last year. It was a substantial donation. So one of the things at the event yesterday at the Chamber Luncheon is they talked about this donation. So the Simpson Group, the donation of $1 million was matched by the Kenneth B. DART Foundation, with the US 500,000 security focused donation being matched again pursuant to a new pledge related to this donation, and the remainder was being matched under the original matching pledge of $4 million CI from the Kenneth B. DART Foundation. Think about that for a second. $4 million they pledge to this foundation, which is then going to be helping people in this community. The Kenneth B. DART Foundation also pledged an additional $1 million to match future donations to R3 to support its ongoing mission. Wow. That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. So since its inception back in May of 2020, the R3 Foundation has donated to more than 30 local charitable organizations. So they actually support other charitable organizations, really, and governmental departments and authorities that provide emergency preparedness and relief for natural disasters and societal crises. R3 was seeded, in other words, the initial funding was $1 million donation from the Kenneth B. DART Foundation, which pledged an additional $4 million in matching contributions to those from other philanthropic foundations, corporations, and individuals. So basically, the Simpson Group donation increases the Kenneth B. Dart Foundation's total commitment to R3 to $6.5 million. Cha-ching! Now, I wish I had won that for the lottery. We would have really been talking something this morning. Poor me. Only won $30, but it is what it is. All right, that's a lot of money. And thank you to the Kenneth B. Dart organization, the Simpson Group, and other organizations who continue to donate to organizations like, R3, who then support others like ARC and, all these other foundations, Meals on Wheels, all these wonderful organizations that really do a lot in the community. So I don't know the name of the lady. I can't remember her name yesterday, but she spoke on behalf of R3 and talked a little bit about the donations and what it is that R3 does. And so one day we'll have them come on and we'll do like a proper interview and stuff with them. Good morning to Miss Sue, Miss Charlene. How are you? Wee Wee is here. Amanda, good morning. She's joining us from Turkey today. She says, watching all the way from Turkey. Nice. Ransford says, if he's not guilty, then he should not be accused. Ransford, that doesn't even make any sense. Being arrested doesn't mean you're guilty. You're not guilty until you're actually convicted. But that doesn't mean that people can't accuse you. There are a plethora of victims out there who have evidence. I got one right here in my hand, honey chow, who provided evidence of what this man has done to them. Perhaps you need to Google his name and go read what he has done. People can make the accusation. Now, it doesn't mean that it's true or that it's going to necessarily hold up in court. Sometimes accusations are true and they still don't hold up in court because the test in a legal, environment is very, very different. Do I have any doubts in my mind that this man has been crooking people left, right, and center? I don't think so. No, honey child. I ain't got no doubts. This man wrote down all the details of what he paid, what he deposited. He talks about how he's a millionaire and he has so much money. Well, this last client now, Mr. Jerry, gave him an initial deposit of $3,200. That was the deposit on the roll-up shutters. Gave him another $1,700 because he claimed that he didn't have the money to pay to clear it from customs. But yet he was bragging yesterday about, I brought in over $100,000 of stuff in customs. You see what it says here? Advance of CI $1,000 to pay customs duty plus $3,200 deposit. Right there in black and white. The man was making his notes about exactly what the money was for and what was being paid. So don't come to me trying to talk about Garfield Robb is innocent. In a court of law, he's innocent until proven guilty. In the court of public opinion, he's guilty as sin. Capiche? Now, I hope that the court of law will catch up with the court of public opinion because this guy is a crook. And he's been doing it for many, many years. Here's the deposit into the wife's bank account. Yeah, Claristina McGowan. She's a crook too, as far as I'm concerned. Y'all need to stop giving these crooks excuses, talking about, you can't accuse him if he's not found guilty yet. Poor you. Louis, top of the morning to you. So good to see you here. Joining us in Detroit, Aliano, Windsor Park. Aliano, I got to talk to you. I actually had a complaint about you and your dad and that house in Windsor Park, and it sounds very, very serious. I've got an email with all kind of things, and y'all know I try to get y'all to work things out before it becomes a feature on CMR. So we need to talk because your neighbors say that you guys have been tormenting them for a really long time with a lot of different things. Let's talk it out first before we air it out. All right. Dorothy, RD says deportation. He is at going anywhere. I think that's supposed to be he's not going anywhere. You know who runs this country? It isn't Caymanians. And we all know policymakers have no balls. Lord Jesus. What can I say? All right, let me say this. Yesterday, we were actually going to get to this. And of course, like I said, Garfield kind of took over the show. So we haven't quite gotten to this yet, but there is a diagram that's floating around saying essentially that Jamaicans are running Cayman. Is this something new? This is what somebody sent me. I don't know how recent this is. I don't know where people are getting this from right now. If this was a recent FOI, I would have to double check. I don't really know. I think these numbers are probably not 100% current. But anyway, this demonstrates the nationalities, Cayman Islands residents by country of birth. And of course, Jamaicans, Caymanians, 24,375. Jamaicans, 17,055. Let me be very, very clear. This should not be a shock or surprise to anybody. And there's a couple very logical reasons why this is what it is. We have had a long historical tie with Jamaica, without a doubt. My grandfather, for example, is, or was, he's no longer alive, was a Jamaican. He came here back in the, 50s or whatever, started to build a life. Maybe even before that. I got to watch the interview again with my uncle, who told me so much of my own family history that I had no idea. Set up the first bus system, had the first pool table in Cayman. This is what happened. A lot of Caymanian families have links and came by way of Jamaica. The Wattlers, East End. Y'all like, oh yeah, they East Enders, multiple generations, blah, blah, blah. You trace their original origins. They were European, I think Englishmen or Scottish men or something from that part of the world. They came by way of Jamaica. So they went to Jamaica first, stayed there for, whatever. And then two Wattler brothers came to Cayman, married two sisters. One married the white sister in Cayman and one married the black sister. That's why you have two Wattlers. You almost have like the Wattlers are broken up, where you have the darker skin ones who admit that they're people of color. And then you have the white ones who pretend like they're white. They came from the same two brothers. They just married different when they came to Cayman. All connected. Because Caymanians at one point, the Wattlers like, oh yeah, we're not connected to them black Wattlers. Yes, you are. You're all family. Go do your genealogy test. Go talk to Olivier. Go talk to Miss Kathy Fraser. Olivier and Miss Kathy are cousins. This is the beauty of Cayman. We're so mixed up. One cousin can be my complexion. One cousin can be a little bit darker. And then somebody can come out a little bit fairer skin with blue eyes or green eyes or whatever. That's the beauty of our melting pot that we've had in the Cayman Islands, even within families. Like I have seen siblings, full siblings. One full sibling has dark hair, darker eyes, darker complexion. The other one came out a little bit more with the blondish kind of bleach out looking hair, fairer skin, greener looking eyes. It's just the mix up in the genes. Okay. Our connections to Jamaica have been long standing for a very, very long time. Even some of the original, I think even the Kirkernels and the Fosters, if you trace them far enough back, they came by way of Jamaica as well. You go in certain parts of Jamaica, you hear names, Powell and Powery and whatever, that are Caymanian names. The Barneses came from Jamaica. There were no Barneses in Cayman before my grandfather came, and that's the Barnes. Yes. There have been other Barnes that have come that are not directly connected to us, but I guess if you go far enough back from Jamaica, they might be. We're the original Barnes. Caymanians have come from a lot of different places. I understand as a Caymanian who's a multi-generational Caymanian, I understand the passion and the desire to protect our culture and protect who we are. But we've also always been people that have integrated with other people. Caymanians have always married other people. I mean, oh my God, the list is long, right? I think of names of people and I think, well, that name isn't a really long-standing Caymanian name. That's because the Caymanian mother married the foreigner that came here and they have children. And those children consider themselves multi-generational Caymanians, although they may have a parent that is not even originally from the Cayman Islands. So it's a lot of mix-up. Caymanians have to admit that we have a love-hate relationship with our Jamaican brothers and sisters. Let's be very, very honest. We love them and we hate them at the same time. Yeah. So there are differences. There are things that we share in common. We share a similar diet. We've adopted a lot of Jamaican food. Some not so good ways we've adopted. Some of our younger people are adopting this dance hall mentality and the criminality that comes along with it. Those are the things that we don't want to adopt from anybody. I don't care whether they're Jamaican or Canadian or whatever. But having said that, when you look at who is a Caymanian, this is a question that has plagued us for so long. I don't sometimes even know who to define that. I'm a Caymanian. Yes, I'm a Caymanian. But you go on my mother's side of the family, her father was a Jamaican. That's not that far removed, right? Even my 23andMe test could tell me, oh, your recent ancestry is from where? St. Elizabeth. Y'all remember? Let me bring it up just in case y'all can't remember. So I understand the sentiments, and I understand when people start sending this stuff around, how they're feeling about it. But my take on this is, listen, this is nothing new, first and foremost. Let's be very, very clear. Jamaicans have been here a long time. We have used them in different capacities, working along with us, marrying inter-community. Some Caymanians would not marry a Jamaican to save their lives, but I can tell you what, a lot of, I'm going to show you all this. A lot of Caymanians have married Jamaicans. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot. Y'all just need to find some better caliber Jamaicans sometimes. That's my only problem. I'm like, listen, y'all could do a little bit better in that department because y'all be scraping the bottom of the barrel now. And I'm like, oh, honey child, please. As someone just messaged me, says, because it's sweet, it's sweet, it's sweet. Yes, honey child. Hold on. He laughing. Stop messaging me for a second because I'm about to share my screen. And I don't want people seeing your messages, honey child. These people are so funny. All right, let me find my little 23andMe thing. I'm going to bring this up and share this with y'all. Oh, I must sign in. Sign in for what? You forgot me? Has it been that long? Oh my gosh. Oh, I did Face ID. Thank God. Because I wouldn't be able to remember that password. All right, so look here now. Let's have a look. Change password. No, thank you. Not now. Leave me alone. All right, so let's break it down. Let's just be honest about what it is that we're dealing with here. Yes, it's sweet, and y'all know it too. I don't know why y'all be pretending. Some of y'all can't seem to live without Jamaican men. I mean, I have a particular family member. I won't call any name because she's right here in the program. She knows who she is. She must be on marriage number 6 by now, and every single one of them have been a Jamaican man. Lord Jesus. I'm just saying, must really be sweet. Anyway, here's my 23andMe results. If I go to, is it this section now? If I go to my ancestry report, right, you guys can see this on the screen. And it tells me who you fought in a real way. Where are my ancestors? European, like I said, I'm not trying to claim them too much, but yes, it says I'm almost 20% European. I don't know who it is. Northwestern Europe, British and Irish, Greater London. And then it breaks it down by region. Where in Greater London? My goodness. Greater London, Greater Manchester, Glasgow City, Edinburgh, Belfast. And they have the whole list of the 10 cities that are connected to my little thing. But like I said, I'm going to ignore that. All right. So we skip the European heritage and we go down to a little bit of Indigenous American, which is interesting. Not very much. And then your recent ancestry in the Americas. So look at this. Belize. I don't know nothing about no family in Belize. However, my grandfather, listen, we got to watch this Cayman Voices series together with my Uncle Rennie because my grandfather lived in Belize and worked in Belize. So I suspect, as with most Caribbean men, even then, he probably got children in Belize that then would be family to me. And this is where the Belizean connection probably comes in. That would make total sense. And in fact, my, I think 3 or 4 of his children were actually born in Belize because he was there with our grandmother, who's a Caymanian. She's a Macfield, right? So I when I first saw this, I thought Belize. And then when I did this Cayman Voices interview with my uncle recently, and he talked about how his father, which is my grandfather, lived and worked and everything in Belize. And I think my mother might have been one of the ones that was born in Belize. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember. I have the worst memory. But I'm like, that's interesting. Honduras. Don't ask me about the Honduras collection either. Bay Islands. Atlantida Department, Francisco Morazan Department, I don't know, Cortez, don't know who those people is. And then look at the Caribbean, St. Elizabeth. I mean, it narrowed it down, the number one parish, and he was from St. Elizabeth. These things don't lie. There you go. Tell you your DNA, who you really from. Yeah? Where you coming from? Amazing, right? So our connections to Jamaica folks, long-standing. Now, does that mean that I want Cayman to be a little Jamaica? No. Do I want us to be taken over by Jamaica? No. I think there has to be a balance, but I understand the connection for more reasons than one. I understand the longevity of the history between Cayman and Jamaica. I understand the intermarrying between Cayman and Jamaica. I understand the shared culture. Right? We've adopted a lot of their culture. They're probably not adopting too much of ours. But, I get the connection. So does this graph surprise me? No. Some years ago, immigration, as it was called back then, decided that they wanted to try to even out the numbers a little bit. They were saying it's too many of one nationality, and that's not good. So remember when they put the moratorium in place, where businesses could only bring in so many workers from any particular jurisdiction? I can't remember exactly what the limit was. But back then, they were like, if you're a company and you have 20 people, you can only bring in maybe 3 or 5 from any one country. And that meant even Jamaica. There's a lot of companies that are heavy of one particular nationality, and you see it all the time. So I'm not surprised by these numbers. And I'm also not surprised by these numbers because, like I said, a lot of Caymanians actually integrate and marry Jamaicans. And of course, they would then become residents and obtain residency. So this makes sense. I don't know why anybody's surprised by this. And I'm also not sure why anybody is really all that offended by this. Listen, if you don't want Jamaicans here, if you don't want Filipinos here, if you don't want people from the UK here, then I guess y'all need to stop finding them so sweet and marrying them and fornicating with them and having children and getting in bed with them. I'm just saying, it can't be that difficult, can it? Well, evidently it is. And that's why there's so many of them here as residents. Now, I have a problem when people are hoodwinking the system. And I think more so than others, Jamaicans tend to be more likely to engage in certain activities like marriages of convenience. Now, that doesn't mean that other people are not going to do it. But if I was a betting woman and I was going to put my dollar down on it, I would say that probably 97% of the marriages, well, maybe let's say 90%. Give them a little 10% room. 90% of the marriages of convenience are between Caymanians and Jamaicans. Then the next nationality after that would be Hondurans. And then after that would probably be maybe the Filipinos, because they're starting to edge out and come in hot on the trail of the Honduran nationals. But they still got a ways to catch up, because most Caymanians would still prefer a Honduran woman or man over an Asian person just because of the cultural differences. Like, it takes a minute to kind of get used to eating duck eggs that are like, the duck is already half formed in the egg, and that's like a delicacy in the Philippines, and you eat it and you're eating the bird feathers and everything. What's it called again? My Filipino friends, I forget. So again, it's just a matter of culture. Honduras is closer. We've had close ties with Honduras. A lot of Caymanians are connected to the Bay Islands. They're family to people in the Bay Islands, right? So we share somewhat similar cultures. Y'all like the straight hair and the papi chulo and whatever else they be trying to use on you. Those are the words, and y'all be getting excited. You might not find the Asian language Tagalog quite as romantic, but it's starting to wear on you because I see some of y'all older seniors are really starting to enjoy the company of a much younger Filipino woman. Just saying. Okay, honey child, we're doing some truth telling here today. Alejandro says, no, the Cubans are second after Hondurans and Filipinos kind of catching up. Cubans? Maybe you're right. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. I got a little input on this.
Yes, ma'am.
And I don't care whether they bash me or not.
Mm-hmm.
But what I'm going to say, I don't care who like it from who don't like it. Yes, years ago, the Jamaicans that used to come here was better quality than what we're getting now. And yes, I agree that plenty of the marriages is convenient. It not low is for what I can get from you. Comparing the Hondurans, especially the ones from Banaka, most of them ancestors was Caymanian born. Down there were poor and they came up here and liked what they get. So it's a big difference between that with Jamaica. So I don't care what people say, but what we getting now from Jamaica is the slum bum, scumbags, is what my brother would say. So that's the difference. Yes, just like the Cubans that are in Tampa, because, Miami's infested. They even got a little Havana there with Cuban people, but the Cubans that is in Tampa were the upscale, higher, better quality. It wasn't the balseros, the rafters, or whatever that going in now. So that's the difference. That's what makes the difference. Yes, your grandfather and whatever they were the upscale Jamaicans. What we getting here now is like I say, the slums, the scums, whatever that now marrying people for love and for love of the country. They don't care about messing it up and whatever. So that's how I see it, and I think that's how it really go. So I don't care who like it or who don't like it, and I don't care what they say about me because I'm like the clock. Who the hell cares? Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words do hurt because everybody know who I am and what I am.
Yes. All right, honey. Thanks for those comments. 936 Bobo is his telephone number. I do agree that definitely the caliber of what we have has changed. And I think the caliber of what is all over the world has also changed. You know what I mean? There's a lot more of this kind of like, I don't even know what to call. Just, it's not about poverty. It's about people having no, Caymanians would say, brought up, see. You know what I'm saying? They just haven't been brought up with any decency. So yes, they're into scamming. They're into lying and cheating and stealing from people. Now, I don't think that we're getting any high quality people from Honduras either. I mean, let me be very, very honest. Most of what we see here are barmaids. They start prostituting themselves at 14, 15 years old because in their country, they're so poor that that's the only asset they have is their body. And they start using it very, very early to try to get a step up in life. Some of them luck out and get a half decent Caymanian man. But I tell you what, most of them just using him for his money. And as soon as they can find something better, or they got their side piece on the side that they still enjoying. So, I mean, I don't think it's unique to Jamaicans in terms of some of the caliber of what we're importing in this day and age. I don't know if people just are not made the same anymore. But yes, in those days, I agree. We got hardworking, qualified Caymanian, Jamaicans. Some of them were seamen as well, and were businessmen and men of industries. And, they could afford, I think some of it is just the dynamics of the world have changed. They could afford to travel. Back in those days, going to different countries, Belize, Cayman, whatever, not any and everybody could jump up and do that. There was no Cayman Airways linking us, right? So going by boat and getting on these voyages would have been a very different situation reserved for a certain caliber of individual. That has now changed. The borders, folks, are wide open. They know how to come in illegally on the canoe boats, as we were talking about yesterday. And it's only a couple $100 for anybody to get on a plane and jump and come to Cayman. We also lowered our immigration standards because we just, let any and everything in. Caymanians have lowered their standards because we marry any and everything, some of y'all. So I think there's a number of factors that explain a little bit of why the caliber of individuals have changed. But I do agree with that caller that it doesn't seem to be a whole lot of good quality individuals. And the other thing that I would say is a lot of good quality Jamaicans don't have to come to Cayman. They actually have other options. I'm thinking of some of the physicians that I know. My husband's, he's a Jamaican. And his nieces and nephews, they're going to university in Canada. They're not interested in coming to Cayman. They want to perhaps remain and live in, although they love them some Jamaica. Jamaicans love Jamaica. So they still be going back home like, oh yeah, I'm going to build my house in Jamaica. I'm like, really? Okay. I get it when you love your country, honey child. But they're spreading out. He's got one brother that now resides and lives in the U.S. with his wife. Because again, they're professionals. They were in demand. So a headhunter in the U.S., she's a nurse with, ICU experience. They headhunted her to go to America and they sorted out everything for her, gave her U.S. status papers, all that came with the package. So I think the world has changed a lot. Access to the world has changed. And Jamaicans also do have access to other places other than Cayman. A lot of the ones that you see that come here, they can't really go too many other places. They might not even be able to get a visa approved to go elsewhere. So there's some of that, but I want to be fair to Jamaicans. Not every single Jamaican that is here is of low caliber. The vast majority of Jamaicans, just like the vast majority of Caymanians, are good, honest, working people. But even if you have 20% that are not, that 20% makes it bad for everybody. They just screw it up for everybody. Let's talk a little bit about some of our own people. Big shout out. Bishop Hero Blair says, good morning, Sandy and family. My wife and I are here in Brampton, Canada, enjoying your program. Can you please give my wife, Dr. Alma Blair, a shout out on this, our 55 wedding anniversary today. Wow. Congratulations, Bishop Hero Blair. 55 years old. Oh my gosh, that's older than me. That's amazing. Congrats. So wonderful. Natasha, minimum wage, people are coming. I think it's next week. Stay tuned. The minimum wage committee is coming to the program. Good morning to Richard. RD says those who are defending, what's his name? Garfield should do business with him and let's see how they feel in a few months. What a hot mess. Ingrid had a little chuckle. She says, haha, who pretend they white. Well, we have to be honest on this program. A lot of Caymanians pretend to be white and they're actually not. They need to do that 23andMe DNA test and then come talk to me. Because you have 1 ounce of Negro blood and white people don't consider you white. So let's just get it straight. Garrett says the original settlers came through Jamaica as well. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Like all the families that we know, Fosters, Kirkernels, Wattlers, I don't know who else. A lot of them came by way of Jamaica. Good morning, Miss Alice, Lady Gangster. How are you? She says, this is so true. Even our judicial system is run by Jamaicans, boys and girls home run by Jamaicans, everything. Now, this is where I understand, Lady Gangsta, the sentiment, and I get it. But again, when you look at those numbers, what percentage of the police force you think are Jamaicans? A good number. Judiciary, she's absolutely right. Miss Margaret Ramsey, lovely lady. She's been here a long time, has Caymanian status. But where's she from? Jamaica. Okay. Who else do we have there that I could think about? Oh gosh, I can't even think of half the staff there. But a lot of the judges, they bring in judges. Some we get from the UK, but we get enough of them from Jamaica as well. The DPP's office, 90% of them are Jamaicans. Police, 90% of them are Jamaicans. So I think what happens in a country as small as Cayman is when you have that many of any one nationality, this is what causes the friction. That's why I said Caymanians have a bit of a love-hate relationship with Jamaica and with Jamaicans. right? The first people we're going to hate on when something comes up, oh, they must have been a Jamaican. They a bunch of damn crooks and this, that, next thing and blah, blah, blah. But then who you lying down with at night? Probably a Jamaican. Who you having children with? Probably a Jamaican. So I don't know how to tell y'all how to work through your feelings on this. I think what you need to do is judge people individually and not really as a nationality. Yeah? Because I've seen some of y'all cuss Jamaicans like you would not believe. I'm not trying to raise the dead here today, but I had a certain family member who hated Jamaicans, and she's married to a Jamaican. And that Jamaican meant that she had a life of comfort even after he died. He ensured that there was investments in property, a wise businessman, said to his boys, you will take care of your mother after I'm gone. She'll not work and lift a finger ever again in her life. And that was a Jamaican man that made sure that his sons learned good work ethic and how to take care of their mother. And by extension, eventually their own wives and so on, and their own families. So, but she hated Jamaicans. I sat in conversations with her and I was so shocked because when I came back to Cayman, there's a lot of things that I had to really get up to speed on. Because poor me, I was living in the States and I was like, oh, all I know is black versus white. That they're the only ones beefing with each other. I don't know nothing about one Caribbean country versus another. That don't even make any sense to me. So when I come back here and I hear this woman talking to me and saying, well, you must never marry anybody darker than the palm of your hands. I'm like, what? But you're black. You're Matt Field and you are as black as they come, honey child. What the hell are you talking about? These people had me confused. I was like, huh? Oh, these damn Jamaicans, their very blood must be black. But your husband, your entire life, you only had one husband and you bore 8 children or whoever many children was a Jamaican man. What the hell are you talking about? Do you not see him as Jamaican? Like, it is very, very confusing, the love-hate relationship that people have. And what I say is judge people based on who they show themselves to be, who they are. Don't get mixed up in judging people just based on their nationality. We're all guilty of it to a certain extent. We group people together. It's easy sometimes to just group people together. But get to know people. Oh, Filipinos love karaoke. Well, that is kind of true. Oh, Jamaicans like, well, yeah, that is kind of true. Okay, man, it is easy to group people together, but it can be a very dangerous way to judge people. Oh, I think I got a call. Hold on, caller. I'm coming to you. Ooh, honey, child, let me. Caller, good morning. Uh-oh. Were you trying to call me, honey? All right, let's see if they're calling the show. So, somebody says Guy Harvey, Jamaica. Marlon, Jamaica. Guy Harvey's from Jamaica? Okay. What a hot mess. So yes, I think we could do more with trying to be more tolerant with each other, try to understand more about each other. Listen, we always have more in common with each other than we have the differences. What is going to tear us apart as people? Good morning, caller. Oh, is this person trying to call the show? Oh, no sound. No sound where? Okay, hold on. Hello?
There's no sound on Facebook.
On Facebook?
Morning, there's no sound on
Morning.
Facebook.
Oh, really? Okay. Thank you. That's weird. Okay, Akina says it's back now. I didn't do anything, so I don't know what's going on. First Lady Jeanne says the devil is a liar. Lord Jesus, the devil. Oh, we're going to blame it on the devil this morning. The devil trying to impact my good sermon. You little devil. How dare you? It's back now. Everybody said, I don't know what happened. It's the Matrix, says Alejandro. It was that little skip in the Matrix. So let me repeat what I was saying. Had no sound for about a minute. All right, let me say it again. Because the devil ain't going to get the best of us here in the Cold Hard Truth. Let me be very, very clear. I was saying that the things that bind us together are far greater and far more than the things that separate us. It is easy, however, for the human brain, and this is how people think, to try to look for the differences. And it is the differences that pull people apart. So, for example, I can pick a woman all the way in the Philippines and I can find so much common ground with her. We're both mothers. We're both business people. We're both women. There's so many things in life that we can share as common aspects of our lives and our story. But as human beings, we're going to pick on the one thing that's different. Oh, we have different, culture, or we have different food or whatever. But she might like certain aspects of the Filipino cuisine that I might like as well. Like maybe she's into desserts. I'm like, oh my God, I'm totally a dessert person. So sometimes you have to judge people, not sometimes, we should be judging people as individuals, right? Not as a nationality, not as a preconceived notion of who it is that they are. Because people run the gamut, good people and bad people all over the planet. Look at this woman right now, Judith Douglas. She's a Caymanian from Georgetown, I think, Rock Hole area, wherever. She's a crook. She's a thief, but she's a Caymanian. You understand what I'm saying? So, find people as you take them. Not every Jamaican is going to be a fraudster. Not everyone is looking to defraud or to marry you or whatever, but be careful. Because here she is, Honey Chow. Remember her? We don't talk about her. Be careful, because yes, there are people who are looking to take advantage of you, but there are people who are looking to take advantage of you from other places too, who are looking to use you. So just a word to the wise, right? Let's not focus on nationalities so much as individuals. Let people prove to you who they are. And like I said, when someone shows you who they are, don't question it. Don't ask them to prove it to you again and again. Accept it. Someone shows you to be a liar and a thief. Don't be in 10 years later talking about, boy, I gave them so much chances, and they still a liar and a thief. Yeah, they were always a liar and always a thief. Nothing has changed. It is what it is. And so accept people for who they are. Ransford said, when I came here in 91, a Caymanian robbed me. That does not mean every Caymanian is a thief, and he died owing me. That's my point. That's how it is. Darlene says, yes, even if they did, I heard the Jamaicans got upset in an uproar about the Filipinos had the highest population rate in the Cayman Islands years ago, and a lot of Filipinos were repatriated home to maybe help make the Jamaicans. That's not true. The Filipinos, and listen, if there's one nationality, I don't even like to say this because I think Jamaicans love me, generally speaking, as well. But I must say, if there's one nationality that I know appreciates this platform, it's the Filipino community. And we did not always have a love relationship when we first got started, because I would ask questions Like, why is it that there's a house with 10 Filipinos living in the house? Like, I'm trying to understand. And by asking the question, they thought that I was insulting them when I really wasn't. I was just trying to understand the nature of why people would live like that in somebody else's country. Once they explained it, I kind of understand it a little bit more and I kind of get it, right? And there's some cultural components to trying to save money and work together. And, I understand a bit more about the culture. But at first they thought I was trying to hate on them. And I'm like, that's not what it is. But why some of them used to get me, oh, you hate Asian people, you hate Filipinos. I'm like, no, actually I don't. That's ridiculous. But they love them some Sandy. Everywhere I go, they're like, oh my God, Miss Sandy, I love you so much. Can I take a selfie? They're like really into the platform and into me, right? I appreciate the love and support. But I can tell you that that's not true. Filipinos have never outnumbered Jamaicans. It's impossible. How the hell they got outnumbered Jamaicans, Darlene? Jamaica is 45-minute flight from here. The Philippines is what, a day and a half journey, right? Most Jamaicans have heard of the Cayman Islands. If you go to the Philippines, most Filipinos have not heard of the Cayman Islands, regardless of what you think, because we got 5,000 of them here. Filipinos have never been close. Now, like I said, this current graph, I'm going to get this updated because I don't even know what the date on this is. This is circulating. This might have fluctuated. So yes, they're number 3, but look here, they're not that far between the UK and the United States. It's almost an even split for the number 3 spot between the Philippines, the United Kingdom, and the United States in terms of residence by country of birth. And then we have Honduras not too far behind, then Canada, and then India, Cuba, and it goes down from there. So I'm willing to bet that we've never had more than 5,000-6,000 Filipinos here at any given time. They are increasing in numbers because a lot of people enjoy working with them. Even the Jamaicans say they have a very good work ethic. And they're more likely to find a Filipino. And one of the reasons is their government kind of grooms them about, okay, when you go to the Cayman Islands, this is how you don't embarrass us. This is how you do a good job. And, so that's they're a little bit different in some aspects. But listen, we've had Filipinos on this show that are crooks, that are thieves. Remember the one with the baby going on scamming people, telling everybody they can have access to the baby and just take the baby and whatever. Horrible mother. Because somebody's going to molest that poor child because she's passing the child around like a basketball, right? Stealing from people, taking people's money. What I find that is a little bit different about the Filipino community, because they are smaller, and also because this is part of Asian cultures, they tend to be very, very close-knit, especially when they are abroad. I've sat down and broke bread and ate at a table with Filipinos, and I see how they will share everything. So they're going to have a dinner. One person contributes a little rice dish. The next person might have brought and done the chicken. They are much more community minded in that way. They're going to pool their resources together. They will buy one car and all 5 or 6 of them going to share the one car and carpool and that sort of thing. Most other nationalities here, not so much so. Some of the other Asian nationalities, the Indians and stuff, are kind of like that too, because I think it's more of an Asian and cultural thing within Asian communities. So, I've sat down with them and they're like, Miss Sandy, this is how we do it. This is our dinner for the night. All of us are going to eat. You just help yourself with a plate of food. You dig in. And that's how it is. It's more of like a potluck type of situation. But they've never competed with Jamaicans in terms of numbers. And no one has never, like I said, there was one point that immigration was saying, okay, we need more diversity. And they tried this policy. I don't think it lasted very long, right? So they tried this policy of like, oh no, let's, The Premier talked a little bit about this in his address yesterday. I need to get a copy of his address because there's certain things in it that I do want to address in more detail and I want to talk about. Before our guest comes on, I'm going to shift gears a little bit. So let me be very, very clear about Judith, the scammer. She has now been charged, 57 years old. By the way, she just lost her mother. I wish to extend my condolences to the entire family. Even though she's a criminal and she's a thief, losing her mother, I'm sure, is a very difficult situation. Like literally just lost her mom. However, what I would also say is undoubtedly, somebody said to me the last conversation they had with the mom, which was not that long ago, she was like, why does her daughter keep doing these things? I only heard good things about this woman. I saw her picture. Again, condolences, Miss Mardell. Eliza Bush, she seems like she was a lovely woman. Only heard positive things about her. As parents, we do our best. We try to raise good people, and sometimes we fail at it. No fault of our own. These kids are just bad seeds. They just can't get it together. They can just always steal. Sometimes we fail at it because we have actually done a poor job as parents, and we have to take some accountability for that. From what I've heard, this poor woman tried her best. So she passed away on May 23rd. They had the service already? Yeah, June 3rd, they had her service. So I'm sure her daughter's behavior over the years probably took a toll on her. It's sad, Stress is stress, and stress is not good for your health. But Judith is a kleptomaniac. She's a thief that can't help herself. I'm convinced. She needs some intense therapy. You can lock her up. She's 57 years old now. She's going to be heading into retirement. You can lock her up and let her out at 65. She's going to come out and do the exact same thing. It mightn't be a rental scam, but it'll be some other scam, some other theft. She is a kleptomaniac, in my opinion. She cannot help herself. So now the police have charged her with an additional 31 counts. Now, let me double check this, because they already had her charged with some. So I'm thinking, is this in addition to the other ones? Hold on a second now. What her name is again? Judith Douglas. Let me see. Because that's a lot. But I knew it was a lot because when we started to expose her, right? And I knew something was fishy. When the first victim, which technically was the second victim, because the first victim, I didn't even realize what was really going on, but she got her money back. The second victim also got her money back. That's because she ran that afternoon, scammed somebody else to get the money to pay her. When Judith was messaging me, oh, Miss Sandy, don't put this out there, please, please, please. I'm like, do I give a Caymanian a chance or an opportunity? Or do I follow my gut, which is telling me that there's a lot more victims out there? And I sat on it that Saturday afternoon, and I said, you better pay this woman her money. And the more I thought about it, and the more it sat with me, the more wrong it felt for me to remain silent. There are times that I do help people. People say, Sandy, oh my God, I'm in court for drunk driving. Please don't say nothing. There are times that I help people. And then there are some people that cannot be helped because they're just crooked. And I'm not here to help crooked people. So I thought about it. She had my cousin reach out to me who knew her. Oh, Miss Sandy, she's a really good person. She's been trying. I'm like, I don't know if she's been trying. My gut tells me that she hasn't been trying. And my dear, when we posted about her, the floodgates opened up. So I had in my little notebook, I don't know where my notebook is right now, but I started to write down all the people that were contacting me and the amounts that she owed them. I stopped, I think, 20-something people. So I knew it was a lot of money and a lot of different victims, right? Thank God I followed my instinct that day, because as a result, this woman is now in jail, and she will not, at this point anyway, continue to take money from hard-working people. She picked her victims, foreign nationals, right, on purpose, because she figured in the circle of Caymanians, she not gonna get away with too many of them before they're gonna start talking to each other. Foreign nationals weren't talking to each other. Filipinos, Canadians, Spanish people, Jamaicans. I am willing to bet all of her victims were foreign nationals because she's not stupid. And she just kept going. And she was ramping it up. So let me just look her up and see if that's 31 plus another number. Because I kind of think it might be. My God. Between $700 and $3,700 each. You know how much money that is? They need to bury her under the prison this time. The audacity of this woman. That's what I tell you. She has to be a kleptomaniac. She already stole $1 million from one victim, which, Lord Jesus, I don't know how he was so naive. I hear he's a nice guy, but what? How you let somebody scam you of $1 million? Keep going back and, oh, give me this much more. Trying to buy status was what he was doing. I was like, no, sir. Anyway, she was really taking advantage now of poor people. At least he had $1 million to give her. I mean, these poor people, some of them had nowhere to go. They'd given up notices on their apartments and so on. I felt so bad for them. Some of them like, Sandy, please, can you help me get my money back? I'm like, listen, the woman don't have no money. You can't get anything from a stone. You can squeeze out as much as you can. You're not getting no water from a stone, okay? And you can't get money from a person who is using this money to live off of people. Now, the shocking thing is because she was taking so much, she was actually living a pretty decent life, but I hear she's a gambler. Y'all want to legalize gambling. Y'all better think about some of these people who are already addicts and what that's going to do to them. So every penny she get, she's, I guess, spending it on herself and just gambling the people their money away. What a mess. I don't know. Scott says, I don't know what Yahoos they cave to, but they need to close that access from Hurley's for sure. People pulling out halfway across and stopping, just insanity. Hurry up and finish the Kings Road to Grand Harbor and then fix the roundabout. Boy, Scott, I'm with you 1,000%. I do not. That intersection is so dangerous. And again, I mean, I get it. It's the people in the Grand Harbor area who, take a chance every day with their lives crossing over, and they're like, oh yeah, we got the government to change their minds. We're all about that. I'm like, this government better have some friggin' backbone. Jay Ebanks went to that meeting and he caved so quickly. I understand. I said, I wish he'd be caving for Caymanians like that. I mean, let's be honest. Most of the people are really not Caymanians. I'm just saying, minister. But yes, honey child. He's like, oh, yes, we're going to now fix this. Mind you, that wasn't the rhetoric that they were going in there with. And we all have to traverse that road. It's not just for people who live in Grand Harbor. So, Scott, I could not agree with you more. We need to fix it. But they got to wait till somebody gets killed there, Scott. And hopefully it's the right person. Like it's somebody in that community who, I guess somebody with money, whatever. And then they're going to go, oh my God, we made a mistake. Can y'all now fix it? By the way, big shout out to NRA. They fixed one in the, I'm going to go there and take some footage later on today in case you haven't been in the Cayman Bay roundabout. But they did the same thing, put cones one area because, again, so many accidents because y'all don't know how to use these big roundabouts. So they've cut off part of that roundabout, which is what they were intending, Scott, to do with the Grand Harbor one. So I say get it done. The quicker, the better. It's supposed to be going back to the board, but sometimes these boards, they don't need to sway with the wind. Because, we want you to show us who's been killed there. Oh, you want to wait till somebody gets killed because an ounce of prevention isn't better than a pound of cure. So you want to wait till somebody gets killed at that intersection first, and then it makes sense to change it and make it safer. That intersection should have never been like that. And now you have more traffic coming out of Grand Harbor and making it far worse. I say close it quickly. Dean says, I worked with Filipinos in Antigua, and the only problem was the dog meat. I refused to even go to their parties, but enjoyed working with them. Listen, I am not going to say that that they don't eat dogs and they eat stingrays and all kind of other stuff that's not part of our cuisine, obviously. I can't support, we have domesticated dogs for human beings for a really long time. And I can't really support eating anything that's domesticated. So no dogs, no cats, no. But there's a lot of people around the world who eat things that I would never eat that I think is absolutely disgusting. There are people who have chocolate-covered cockroaches as a delicacy and crickets and all kind of stuff. Deep-fried crickets. Asian cultures, I must admit. Spanish and Asian cultures. And Caribbean people eat the intestines and guts and what y'all calls it? Tripe and all kind of stuff. You could never get me to eat that stuff. No, sir. Under no circumstances. Anthony, we're going to discuss everything in the premier speech. I'm trying to get a copy of said speech. I would not expect any work permit moratoriums. He talked about the necessity to have balance. So we're going to definitely talk about that. I think that the issue with a moratorium is, who do you think is actually hiring whoever they're hiring, like the foreign nationals? Those are Caymanian businesses. And if Caymanian businesses are growing and saying that they need more people because of the growth, are you saying to put a moratorium in place to hurt Caymanian businesses because the population is growing? Is it uncontrolled growth? Like, there's a lot of questions surrounding, things like a moratorium. And moratoriums, historically speaking, do not work ever. Seriously, look at the history. But this is how politicians hoodwink you, the people. And this is why you've got to further educate yourselves. They tell you things that on the face of it might actually sound goodish, but makes no logical sense and can never be implemented and would never work. Remember last election? Oh yeah, when I get in, I'm gonna put a moratorium in place. I gotta go after these banks and shut them down. And these insurance companies. You know what I hear right now? Where's my crickets button? Can y'all hear that? Barely. Crickets. That's what I hear when they're in there. Because they know that was all convenient political rhetoric and they can't do anything. As people who are supposed to be so incredibly religious, some of y'all just do not have a very good discerning spirit for BS when you hear it. Politicians are very, very well versed in telling you what you want to hear and not telling you the truth and the reality of a situation. So yesterday, someone said to me, and we do have Tiz who's waiting to join the show, so we're going to jump in here in a bit with her. Yesterday, we had the premier said that the banks agreed to 30-day. Now, he was asking for 3 months. They at first said, we're not doing nothing. We talked about it in the show. I think they felt a little bit of pressure in the community. They've agreed to 1 month notice for interest rate increases. But they also want it for decreases. It's business, folks. You're not going to get something that completely benefits the people 100% and the banks lose. No. I keep telling y'all, banking is a business, okay? In business fundamentals, you might give a little, but you're going to take a little as well. That's the nature of business. And a lot of people say, well, that's only fair. Give notice in both directions. It's kind of like if you have a lease and you can give your landlord 1 month's notice, shouldn't they have to give you 1 month's notice? Do you think it's fair that one party has the upper hand? That one party can give a day notice and the other party, you have a job. Your contract says you give a month's notice, we give a month's notice. Do you think it'd be fair as the employer that they could fire you on the spot, no notice, which by the way, they can in certain circumstances, but generally speaking, a notice period is required. But do you think that your contract should say, okay, one party can give notice and the other party doesn't have to give notice? No, it's equity in law, right? Equality. It makes sense. And I saw some of the comments like, oh, this don't benefit us. Is the premier thinking, does he have a brain? Listen, Y'all don't need to be insulting this man. You can have your opinion and your feelings about this government and how they're operating, whatever. But asking questions like if the premier has a brain, what I can tell you, he has more of a brain than most of you, and he understands these things more than most of you. You really should try to be a little bit more respectful in your comments, and especially when you can't even spell the word brain. I saw that comment online and I chuckled. I was like, really? You can't even spell brain and you asking if the premier has a brain? Don't be disrespectful to people, because that's when you get called out for your ignorance. It is better than nothing. It's better than no notice. The idea is to allow people to prepare. The Feds decided yesterday not to increase the interest rates. They're going to hold the position. Then I had people sending me what was going on in the UK. Well, Sandy, the UK Prime Minister, look at this headline. According to the Telegraph, Rishi Sunak says banks are going to protect borrowers' high interest rate. Protected how? Oh, but what about Wayne Panton? What's he saying? Okay, listen to me. Sunak orders the banks to protect borrowers from surging mortgage rates. Orders them how? What exactly is he going to do? Getting up in Parliament and the House of Parliament and making a declaration, oh, banks must do that, means what? Y'all need to be able to pick sense from nonsense, people. Politicians are good at saying something. So I replied to this person. I said, what does this even mean? Yeah? He's telling them to look after his people? Didn't Wayne do the same thing last year? But what he didn't do, and this is where y'all need to have a little bit of sense, is he didn't come to the people posturing with foolishness. He went to the banks. For over a year, he's been holding meetings. And he said, you guys need to do a little bit better in times like this. Help the people out. Consider a 3-month wait period before you increase the rates. They said, get out. Hell no. And he kept at them, and he kept chipping away, and he kept working at it. It is easy for a politician to jump up in Parliament and then send you one of their little WhatsApp messages about, oh, here's my segment. This is what I did. I've been watching the political posturing, and it's interesting. But I'm going to beg my people to have a little bit more sense than that. Pick sense from nonsense. Recognize political posturing for what it is, and recognize real action and real movements that will benefit you for what they are. Chris Saunders, I see you on Instagram. We're gonna talk about him tomorrow. We'll dive into it after a pension discussion. Doing all these little clips like, oh, this is what I had to say. Oh, I got a passion. These banks must do better. They must do a better job. And we're gonna fight for the people. How? What are you doing precisely? I would like the details, please, sir. I'm not into the flamboyance and the big pretty letters and the flashiness of your Instagram accounts. Yeah, that's all good. But tell me, what have you actually done? You brought a consider motion that did what? Consider motions are not worth the paper that they're printed on. They mean nothing. They're meant to deceive you, the people, into thinking that your MPs are actually working. Caymanians, do not be fooled by convenient political rhetoric. So I don't care if it's Sunak, whatever the heck his name is, or if it's Chris Saunders, or if it's Kiva Bush telling you bollocks. You need to pay attention to the substance of what is being said. So I said to this person who sent me this link, I said, well, what's he going to do to the banks? He has said and done zero, except to say, oh, the banks must take care of it. Those are words. Hear what the person replied. At least their leader is projecting strength outwardly to the banks, that he's on the side of the common man. Really? Do y'all listen to yourself sometimes? What's his name? Let me get it right now. I'm not trying to insult the prime minister. Rishi Sunak is projecting strength outwardly, that he's for the common person. This man cannot relate to the common person. He's born into money. He's married into money. He is a millionaire multiple times over. You think he understands the average struggle of the UK citizens, who, by the way, had an interest rate hike twice in 1 week? Listen to me. He's a handsome fella and all that, but that does not matter. Y'all need to stop being so foolish. Oh, outwardly, he's projecting strength. Well, y'all need to go and study some good meditation and Chinese way of doing things. It's not the outward appearance of strength that's important. It's what you got on the inside, honey. Yeah. Running through a china shop like a bull gets you nothing but breaking up all the china. It's when you can move with finesse and you know how to talk to these banks and say, listen, even if it's behind closed doors, we need to get this done. All the political pandering and the backflips and the waving of flags and, oh, look at me. I need to send this press release to Loop. Oh, look at me. What am I doing for the people? You know what you have done for the people over the years? When it comes to banking, let's talk about Makiva Bush for one brief second, and then I have to switch gears. Okay. I want to be very, very clear. The only thing Makiva Bush has done for banks, I'm not saying he's not helped people in the community, don't get me wrong. When it comes to banking, the only thing he did was made First Cayman Bank fail. And those little old Caymanian ladies and seamen who had their money in First Cayman Bank, when it failed, they got pennies on the dollar. Y'all have very short memories. That was because of his ineptitude. You must keep politicians out of business and out of banking because they don't have no clue what they're talking about. Chris Saunders has a CPA and he's supposed to be, he thinks, a big time banker because he used to work for HSBC. Go look at HSBC's history, even when he was there, and ask yourself again how much of an expert he might actually be. How much were they fined for money laundering and all this kind of stuff? While he was there working? One of his own companies that he's a director on has been fined by SEMA. Y'all need to pick sense from nonsense. Now, Makiva Bush claims he's not running again. Well, if I was a betting woman, I would tell y'all that man's a liar. All this posturing that he's doing now, all this jumping up and down that he's doing now, it's because he fully intends to run for public office. Again, he has told you, oh, he's going to retire. This man is not, that would be, let me tell you how, you want to take something to the bank? You wouldn't be taking that to the bank. Let me be very clear. That is the equivalent of Makiva saying that he'll never drink again. Who are you trying to kid, son? You're an alcoholic. You have a problem. You will drink again. You'll beat people up again. You'll inappropriately touch people again because that is your MO. You can't help yourself. And until you get real professional help, none of us expect any real change. So all this political posturing with him and Chris Saunders as of late, pay attention. Pay very, very close attention because the campaigning has begun. This is not about you, the people. This is not about fighting for your rights with any bank whatsoever. This is about Chris Saunders. No, he's on thin ice come re-election time. If he has any decent candidate run against him, he's out like Flynn. Makiva Bush has a public trial coming up. There's going to be a jury trial. And all this foolishness he's doing, he's hoping to influence people. Oh, he's a good man. He's a grandfather. He's a good husband. He's this, he's that. So did he really assault these Caymanian women? Did he really bite them on the breast or the neck or the arm like they claim? Did he really grab their breasts like they're saying? This is all to undermine the prosecution's case in the court of public opinion. Right? And on top of that, he's already campaigning early for the next election, although he claims that he's not going to run again. Like I said, if I was a betting woman, I'd put $5 on it because I'm not into losing money, that he is definitely going to be running again. Mark my word. He can't afford to not run because he need to get that gambling habit under control. All right. I think we got too many truth bombs being dropped here today. Jean, good morning. She says Rishi Sunak is married to a billionaire. Listen to me. No wonder he can smile 24 hours a day. And I ain't got no problems with billionaires. All I'm saying is when Caymanian's sitting here using him as an example, comparing him to our premier, talking about, he understands the plight of the average person. He does not understand the plight of the average person. Now, let me be very, very clear. Wayne Panton might not be a billionaire, but I'm sure he's a millionaire. He's worked hard. He was a partner in a law firm for years. You know, it is what it is. I'm sure he probably don't even have a mortgage anymore, but he's a little bit closer to understanding your plight than this so-called Rishi Sunak. And Rishi Sunak is doing nothing. Mouthpiece is right. That's just a bunch of political rhetoric and talk. And I get it. Y'all love a good talker. Yeah. Even the prime minister for Bermuda, what her name is again? She's very popular. I like her too. What's her name? Help me out here, folks. Give me the name, but you know who I'm talking about. Oh my gosh. When she talks, we all listen. She is so eloquent. It sounds so nice. It sounds so good. Remember when she made an ultimatum about the banks? Oh, and their interest rates, and they must do that. Tell me something. What has been done? What has she done to the banks in her country? Remind me of her name. The female MP. She's the most popular one in the Caribbean. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Can't think of her name. But what has she done to the banks? They operate within the remit of the law. They follow the law. Their licensing, their regulations that govern them, right? You can't go into business and tell them that, you're borrowing money from other banking institutions at a particular interest rate. Motley, thank you, Miss Brenda. That's right, Barbados. My apologies. I always get all those islands mixed up. Bermuda, Barbados. Mia Motley has made some amazing comments. And then I say, where is the proof of what she has done? You know, it's great to talk about, let's go after the banks. But where have you done it? These people are running a business. Yeah. So they say, right, they have to borrow money from other places. Most of them, they're not headquarters in Barbados. And even if they are, they're owned by parent organizations and banks elsewhere, all interconnected. So they're borrowing money from all over the world. Interest rates is impacting them. Things are going up. Change supply issues impacting them. Cost of living. And you got to sit down and tell a bank, you can't increase your interest rate. I run a business. You think I want the government to come into my affairs and say, well, Sandy, you plan on going up on this particular service. You can't do that. I would say, get the hell out of here. What are you talking about? This concept of wanting government to interfere in our lives and control our lives more and more and more is absolutely ridiculous to me. Well, we should tell the government, must tell Caymanians, don't sell their land, don't do this, don't do that. If Caymanians don't have the foresight, the knowledge, and the common sense to know that they should hold on to certain assets and they should build generational wealth, you think any government can really control that? What the government needs to focus on is educating the people because we're so ignorant. Somebody said to me last night, well, Sandy, I don't understand what you're saying because how you expect your daughter to ever have anything in life and Caymanians to ever have anything. I said, listen to me. I'm going to say this and I'm going to say this. What I say? How is your daughter going to have a clean hair without what you give her? Let me be very clear. Look around, folks. What we have now as Caymanians, if you have anything, where did you get it from? You got it from your forefathers who had foresight, right? Now, it's possible that you might be the first generation to start to acquire stuff. Maybe that's true. But most of the wealth in Cayman is multi-generational wealth. Whether it's the Fosters, the Kirkernels, the Wattlers, whoever the business class is that you consider to be business people in Cayman, and even the lower class, right? What they have was passed on from one generation to the next. And if you don't have it, that's because your parents squandered it, they sold it, and they didn't leave it for you. So when y'all talk about the next generation, they're not going to have nothing if you don't leave them anything. Of course they're not. that's how it's always been? Show me what portion of the population in Cayman has something without it being passed down. That's why y'all be trying to kill each other over what we call dead left. Caymanians will murder you over land, over family land. And they have murdered each other. They've forged documents. They've forged papers. They've committed fraud in order to get land that dead people was leaving behind. It's like sometimes we don't even understand how it is that we got where we are. It's so shocking to me. Anyway, we're gonna part the conversation. Johan is in the house. Good morning, Johan. He says the real power is with the highest levels of civil service, where they circle the wagons and protect their positions and status at all cost. MPs and governments are made or broken given the mood of the management of the civil service. Quite a bit of truth actually in that statement. It is what it is, but that's very, very truthful. And I'm not quite sure how to change that. Natasha says, preach, girl, preach, as they needed some home truths. Miss Darlene says, boy, we have some serious corrupted circle the wagon higher level civil servants. Even so stink now, it's even lower level civil servants are in the circle now too. What a hot mess. Miss Sue says, so true, exactly. He's a billionaire. He has no clue what the average person is going through. I mean, it's just, what is shocking to me is how easily we are fooled by what people say. You know, you got to watch what people do, not just what they're saying, right? So I'm going to say this, and then we're going to bring Tiz into the studio. Say, for example, someone like a Chris Saunders. Yes. Let's talk about what his actions have spoken, what he said about him. Now, you know, he's been fired from his job as deputy premier and as minister. Why was he fired from his job? Why? For sexually harassing Caymanians? Yeah, this is a person you think care about Caymanians? Those women are your sisters. They're your mothers. They're your aunts. They're the woman sitting next to you potentially in church. So to make y'all forget now, because y'all are easy to forget, about the real situation here, he wants to start talking about banks. He made campaign promises about banks in the last 2 years he's done nothing about. All of a sudden now, you want to jump up and talk about banks? In the past year, they've raised the interest rate 10 times, sir. You could have been talking about this when you were actually deputy premier. You weren't, because it wasn't politically expedient for you to do so at that time. Caymanians, pick sense from nonsense. And a lot of what is circling around right now is nothing but nonsense. The only commitment I have on this program and through CMR, and I'm going to tell y'all 1,000%, when it comes to politics, it's to try to open people's eyes. It's to search for the truth. I am digging for the truth myself. I'm listening. I've got my head to the ground. I'm paying attention. I'm asking questions like, what does that mean? What are you really doing? I need to understand it. I need to know. And I'm not going to be easily fooled. And if I'm not going to be easily fooled, I'm not going to allow you to be easily fooled either. You've got to take the blinders off and you've got to pay attention, not to what people say, but what it is that they are actually doing. Even in some of the circles, the WhatsApp circles and stuff, right? I see people, oh, don't y'all say nothing bad about Chris Saunders. I got to protect Chris Saunders, blah, blah, blah. Y'all don't want me to tell you why they're protecting Chris Saunders. One of his side pieces. Please don't have me go down that road here today. Y'all need to start picking sense from nonsense. People have agendas that sometimes are not always obvious to you. Okay? So people say to me, well, we think the premier trying to use you and your platform. Listen, any of them can come on here and say what they want to say. We're going to then pick it apart. We're going to talk about it, right? The platform is here for him to use up to a certain extent. Make him come on. Expose yourself. Talk to the people. That is what we want. We want to hear from you all. This isn't about using anybody. Come. That's why we're here. And until he shows me, right, that what he does, most importantly, not what he says, is nothing, right? And that he's being deceptive and dishonest to the people of the Cayman Islands, I'm going to give him an opportunity, just like I have with all of the other MPs. The difference is some of them not too bright, and they have shown their hand some very early on about where their focus is and what it is that they're doing. Most of them are focused on getting reelected, not on fighting for you, not on addressing the issues in this country. They simply want to get reelected. And whatever that takes, whatever they have to say and do, and how many photo opportunities and how many babies they got kiss, and little old ladies they got hug up, they're going to do it. Pick sense from nonsense. Johan says, I get the feeling Auntie Sandy is going to call MP Saunders. No, honey jam. Natasha says, don't forget, we're still waiting for Saunders to fix or remedy the health and pensions errors. We got to talk about pensions on Friday. We have pension guests coming in. That's tomorrow. The Pension Association is going to come in, right? And they're going to talk about these new changes. What I want to tell y'all with pensions, and I'm not going to get into it, Tiz is patiently waiting. Y'all need to be very careful what you do with your pensions. I am looking for someone. Johan, you got to help me out here. You're supposed to have sense when it comes to money because Johan is very, very cheap, honey child. He don't want to spend his money. Help me find someone who can come on this program at least once a month and give money management advice. Because Caymanians and residents here are so clueless. Y'all see that little pension money and you keep raiding your pension and you're going to do it to your own detriment. Not everything that somebody tells you you must jump up and do is good for you to do. Y'all talking about protecting generational wealth? What are you going to do to protect yourself in your senior years with the increase in cost of living? Pension is not meant to be your only source of survival during those years. It's meant to help. But y'all are sitting back waiting on pension to be the sole solution. And yet, over the years, you keep tapping into and raiding your pension foolishly. Be very, very careful. All right. On that note, we got the beautiful Tiz, who has been patiently waiting. Let's take a quick commercial break, and then we're going to bring her into the studio.
Do you own a Honda vehicle? There is currently an urgent safety recall regarding faulty Takata airbags in Honda vehicles in the Cayman Islands. As affected vehicles get older, a combination of high temperatures and humidity can affect airbags with the fault. If you're involved in a collision, the airbag can go off with too much explosive force, causing sharp metal fragments to shoot out and kill or seriously injure people in the vehicle. To check whether your vehicle is affected, go to carcity.ky/recalls. CarCity will replace any defective airbags completely free of charge. If your vehicle is not affected, you will require a letter from CarCity stating so for your next vehicle licensing inspection. Without this, your vehicle will not pass. Please contact our service team to arrange this. The safety of you and your family is important to us, so please take the time to check if your vehicle is affected by this urgent Honda safety recall.
Have you completed and returned your business survey forms? The deadline for the annual business surveys is June 16, 2023. The surveys are confidential under the Statistics Act and exempt from the Freedom of Information Act. Your response matters. Do your part. Fill out and return your forms to the Economics and Statistics Office. For assistance in completing the forms or for more information, visit www.eso.ky or call 244-4676 or 244-4600.
Crichton Properties is one of Cayman's most trusted real estate companies for over 50 years. We offer a diverse selection of property listings and help our clients navigate the world of buying or selling their properties with confidence. Crichton is a name you can trust with our excellent customer service and family-friendly touch. Contact us today to list your home, land, or condo for sale by calling 949-5250 or email at info@crichtonproperties.com.
All right, Cayman. I know a lot of you are upset when we ran out of ghost pepper wings at Popeyes, but don't worry, I got your back, baby. Introducing the all-new ghost pepper chicken sandwich. And this one packs even more heat. Juicy chicken breast marinated in ghost pepper seasoning, breaded, fried, and topped with fiery ghost pepper mayo. Woo-wee, it kicks. The ghost pepper chicken sandwich has arrived at Popeyes. Available in regular or deluxe, but only for a limited time. Come and try the real heat for yourself before it's too late at Popeyes, Eastern Avenue.
All right, folks, welcome back to the program. We have the pleasure of welcoming into the studio now the beautiful Tiz Romano from Recover. Good morning, Tiz.
Good morning, Sandy. How are you?
Oh, we're doing fantastic. How are you?
Good, good. Heading into a long weekend, which is always nice.
Oh, absolutely. So good to see you.
You too.
So we've got you come on the program. You're a regular fixture now. I think people are kind of getting used to seeing you here. And I love it because you're always educating people on a number of different topics. We're going to be talking about concussions this morning.
Yeah.
So this is such an interesting topic. And, I was thinking about you when we put up that article about the slip and fall because, I was like, this is interesting. This is the kind of case that you would call Recover for them to give you advice to see, whether or not you have a case, how good your case is. So tell us a little bit for people who might not be familiar with what Recover is, what it is that you guys are.
Sure. So Recover is a branch of the law firm Broadhurst, LLC, which has been around for decades. And we specialize in personal injury law. So that includes car accidents, it includes falls, it includes injuries at work. And we also do medical negligence and any sort of case where somebody gets hurt and can go after somebody for negligence or for damages relating to some sort of breach, some sort of mistake, some sort of accident that was not your fault.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm always surprised at how people see litigation. And, the U.S., for example, is known as a very litigious society. Like you look at somebody wrong, they're going to sue you for looking at them cross-eyed. That's how people feel. Like it's like, oh my gosh, too many lawsuits. It gets out of hand. And there are cases where you can see like, oh my gosh, this is frivolous. It's just too much. The insurance industry, for example, has been hit by so many lawsuits and litigation that's impacting their rates and stuff. It's just crazy. But there are legitimate times. Like, what do you say to people in Cayman who say, well, we don't want to become like the U.S. We don't want to sue people for everything. And you're in the business of, suing people. What do you say to people who have that sort of mentality? Like, how should they be looking at it?
So the good thing is that people are able to access legal advice and through a free consultation that we offer. And because we work on a no-win, no-fee basis, we're not going to take frivolous cases. We're not going to take cases that we think don't have a leg to stand on. Mm-hmm. And we'll advise people that, like, I am very straightforward with people when I meet with them. And I'll tell them right away, like, it doesn't sound like you have a very good case. I wouldn't bother going through litigation because it could take years and thousands of dollars. And at the end of the day, you may not be able to recover. So we're definitely not in the business of suing everybody and for everything. We're very selective actually with the cases that we take on. And we're very happy to meet with people and go through the specifics of their individual cases and provide advice based on the circumstances that apply.
All right. So that's good to know. So today we're going to be talking about concussions. So why is it that concussions is something that, even from a legal perspective, that people should understand what it is and why it's important?
So concussions are like a very tricky injury. A lot of the times they're not diagnosed, or the people don't know that they actually sustained a concussion. And it could be very dangerous because if you're not treated initially and from the start, they can actually, you can set you down a bad path. So it's really, it's actually a very important topic. I mean, concussions happen every day with people who play sports, especially, are prone to them. And like in the past, people thought like concussions only happen if you lose consciousness, for example. But now, the more that it has been studied, the more information has come out that even like a tap or a bump, or like when you're in a car accident and you get that hit and your head hits the back of your headrest, it causes the brain to jolt and bounce. It can even twist. So that injury, unfortunately, that is a mild traumatic brain injury. That's what a concussion is. And so it's an injury that has to be looked at and reported to the medical professionals so that they can guide you. Some are very mild and they go away on their own, but some are severe and could actually affect the rest of your life.
Wow. So let's talk about exactly what a concussion is, first and foremost. So tell us a little bit about, what it is, and of course, how is it diagnosed, and how do you know that you actually have a concussion?
So as I said before, concussion is a mild form of a traumatic brain injury, and it can be caused by a bump or blow to the head, which causes your brain to shift and hit the back of your skull or the surroundings of your skull. And that changes the neuropathic pathways that could actually lead to various symptoms later on. And the tricky part with concussions is they're hard to diagnose because they're invisible on x-rays and brain scans. And even if you do a CT scan, it'll only show bleeding or skull fractures. And then if you further pursue that and you go get an MRI, that will only show your brain tissue and any structural damage. So it's very hard to diagnose that. It's very based on the symptoms that you begin to experience after you get a blow to the head. And those symptoms include, like, these are the most popular symptoms: headaches, dizziness, blurry vision, slurred speech, nausea, vomiting, sensitivity to light or to noise, drowsiness or fatigue, like brain fog, difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep. Some people actually lose their taste or their smell, their ability to smell, and they have a lot of trouble focusing or remembering things, even talking. They forget words, like they're trying to explain something to you and they can't think of the word. In the more serious cases, there's amnesia, like you lose consciousness and then you come to and you don't recall anything that happened, like how you actually lost consciousness, what happened afterwards. You just wake up in the hospital and you're like, what happened to me? So that's the more severe cases. I've also had clients that got a big blow to the head and then started bleeding from their nose or their ears. I've seen a lot of brain injury cases like that. Obviously seek medical attention right away. So those are the classic symptoms of concussions, and they can result in longer term effects, longer term memory loss, judgment, your reflexes, even your balance could be thrown off due to a brain injury, and also your speech. So lots of things are affected. And again, it's so important to get medical attention and speak to your doctor, report the symptoms, and then get proper treatment, because there are treatments that you can do to kind of manage it or help you recover. And in a lot of cases, concussions you can make a full recovery. It really depends on the severity of the blow to the head. But yeah, like you have a slide up that the CDC estimates that between 1.6 and 3.8 million sports-related concussions happen every year in kids and in adults. So it's quite a common thing.
Wow. So it's really important for parents, I would think in particular, to pay attention to children who are involved in any kind of activity, really, but any sort of impact activity, that they should definitely pay attention to, what's happening with their children, if they have a bump to the head, if they slip and fall. Because sometimes kids, I feel like they're not always great at explaining to you what happened. They'll be like, oh, my head hurts, or, they'll tell you about some of the symptoms, but you really have to be very observant to perhaps recognize that they need medical intervention.
And even be like from a toddler stage, like, when children start walking and as parents, you notice maybe they're a little clumsy or unstable when they're starting to walk. I've seen doctors prescribe like these little helmets with padding so that in case the child is falling often, they can try to prevent the actual hits to the head when they fall. So that's another thing that can be done to kind of prevent concussions for little ones.
Yes. So loss of consciousness, these are some potential signs that sometimes can be visible to other people. Nausea or vomiting, appearing to be dazed or stunned after something has happened, a vacant stare, being confused about recent events, like kind of like a memory fog, appearing to be drowsy. This is actually quite an interesting one because a lot of times you'll hear physicians say, if you've had a head injury, you fell and hit your head or whatever, don't go lie down, don't fall asleep.
That's
right? Because they want to see if you're just drowsy because you're tired for some legitimate reason, or if you actually have a concussion, which is making you drowsy. Loss of consciousness, being uncoordinated or unsteady, and even mood changes.
Yeah, so that's a big one, and maybe you won't even recognize those mood changes yourself, but your family members will be like, "Whoa, what happened to you? Like, you used to be, happy-go-lucky, and now you're irritable, you're cranky, you're upset all the time. What's going on?" These are symptoms of could be symptoms of a concussion.
Wow. So again, folks, transit alteration in mental function caused by some sort of trauma. And I think the trauma is where we're not always able to pinpoint. Like, kids fall all the time. Like, I'm so shocked, Tiz. You've got kids. I'm shocked at how resilient they are, first of all, and how oftentimes they slip and fall. I'm just like, oh my God, did you just break anything? Like you're a lot of times expecting something really horrific to happen to them. Like they fall off the sofa. I've had a toddler, she was running on the sofa and wasn't able to stop and fell right off. And I was like,
they just jump back up again. They're like, nothing happened.
That one followed a big crying session. And then I was like, oh my gosh. Yeah, they are very, very resilient. So some things to know about concussions. So concussions are not bruises of the brain and do not result in injury to the actual structure of the brain. And a medical provider might order a CT scan or an MRI, which Tiz was talking about earlier, to rule out any bleeding or other injury to the brain. But a normal CT or MRI study does not mean that someone does not have a concussion. So that's why when you talk about it's difficult to diagnose, it's because, there's no like set test that can say, oh, you definitely have a concussion. And that's why looking at the symptoms and perhaps recognizing the symptoms is a much better way of, talking to a medical professional about it.
Yes. And especially after an accident, like you get rushed to the hospital. First thing they do is do x-rays and scans on you to make sure your bones are not broken. I feel like that's the priority. But if you're not reporting any hits to your head or if you've fallen or something, and those initial symptoms like headache, dizziness, blurry vision, they don't go further. They don't check further. And that's, if you get released from the hospital and you're still feeling those symptoms, make sure you follow up with your primary caregiver, your family doctor, and discuss what you're feeling so that they can better guide you. I know there is a fabulous concussion doctor on this island. She works out of the Cayman clinic. And I've had a lot of patients see a lot of success by following her regimens and her guidance. She sees people and then ongoing monitors them and helps them with what they can do to resolve their concussions. So that's really good.
Very good. So how do you treat a concussion? This quote says here that the cornerstone of concussion management is physical and cognitive rest until the symptoms resolve. And of course, why would you want to rest? Or, what does rest even look like? You've got to know no sports activities, no physical education, no weightlifting, no studying, test, quiz, nothing that's going to tax the brain in any way. No computer use, no video games, no text messaging, no driving, really
no
rest.
working. Yeah. I have clients that want to go back to work, and it's no, you need to rest. That means nothing, doing nothing, lying down and relaxing. A lot of people don't know how to do that with our busy, crazy schedules and our lives and everything. But it's so important in your recovery to just rest and allow a brain to heal.
So Tracy says that many hockey players are affected by this. Not just hockey, American football players. There's actually a brain disease now that they know that comes directly from them, getting all these hits to the heads. Although they're using some protective gear, it just simply isn't enough. Yeah. All right. Recovery from a concussion. So we see that all concussions are different. Concussion treatment should be individualized, and everyone can recover in a very different time frame. So it's not like you can say, okay, just rest for a week and you'll be fine. It depends on the individual. So again, their primary care physician would be monitoring their recovery process and their symptoms to see if they've actually recovered. Here's interesting. Studies have shown that adolescents and pre-adolescent athletes take longer to recover from a concussion than an adult. Who knew? This is interesting.
Very,
yeah. I think in part of that is because the adolescent brain is still very much, developing.
Growing,
yeah. Let me just see here. Right. So we talked about some of the symptoms already. Post-concussion syndrome is where a group of physical, cognitive, and emotional problems that can persist for days, weeks, months, or indefinitely after a concussion. So have you seen people, Tiz, who've had long-term side effects from a concussion?
Definitely. So there's basically 3 groups of concussions. There's the first grade 1, it's called. That's just a concussion, a mild one that resolves within 15 minutes. You fall, you hit your head, you get up, you're stunned a little bit, and then you move on like nothing happened. And then grade 2 is a little bit more moderate, where you have lingering symptoms, but they can resolve. Again, there's no loss of consciousness. And then the worst type of concussion you can get is the grade 3 concussion, which is a loss of consciousness. And unfortunately, those types of concussions are the ones with the lingering effects, because they actually cause changes to your brain. And the effects can just affect you for the rest of your life in terms of your memory, your judgment, your cognition, your balance, your speech, all those types of things. You can work on all those symptoms and you can improve, but in some cases, unfortunately, they linger for the rest of your life.
Here's some additional interesting information. Someone who's not fully recovered from a concussion is more likely to sustain another concussion with another injury or another incident. So folks, make sure that you understand the healing process is extremely important. I feel like any kind of brain injury, you've got to be so incredibly careful with. And it goes on to say that the second concussion often causes worse symptoms that last longer if you have not fully recovered from a previous one. Wow. And athletes who sustain a concussion and return to play prior to being recovered are also at risk for what they call second impact syndrome, which is a rare but catastrophic condition. Do you think parents should think about not having kids participate in certain events, Tiz? I mean, certain events just come with a really high degree of risk, right?
Yeah, that's a personal choice. I mean, I get scared when my kids are doing impact sports, even gymnastics, like, you know, on those bars and stuff, doing all those turns and jumps and stuff. Ew, the neck, it's like, because I guess because of what I do, I'm just more aware of what can happen. So it's a little scary for me.
Yeah,
personally.
Absolutely. So criteria for returning to activity, especially sports. So having no symptoms at rest and with everyday activities, no symptoms with exertion. So if you're doing something physical or cognitive, meaning, you know, with your brain, and you start to have symptoms, that means that your body isn't fully recovered yet and you still need more rest. Follow a gradual return to play routine under the direction of a qualified medical provider. Neurocognitive testing can be a useful tool in demonstrating neurocognitive recovery from a concussion. So, of course, your medical professionals can tell you a bit more about what those tests involved and what they are. And that's always your best bet is in a situation like this, is speak to your medical professional.
Yes. And sometimes I also recommend to clients to keep a journal, right? And then every day, like, this is, you know, I did this and I felt that. So they can kind of just monitor the symptoms, because if you're seeing your doctor, you know, every few weeks, or you may not recall certain events or how you felt on certain days. So it's always good to kind of keep a journal or a log tracking your progress or your symptoms.
Very good. So the R's of concussion management. So recognize that a concussion has occurred is R number 1. Remove the person immediately from the activity. Refer the individual for medical care. Rest, physical and cognitive, is a treatment for a concussion. And then return to activity only after full recovery. So things like a mouth guard, they say, has not been proven to prevent concussions, but it's still highly recommended for things like, you know, just protecting different aspects of the face, including the teeth. And coaches have a responsibility. Now, can you tell us a little bit, you know, as a parent, you know, you have some responsibility as a parent to ensure that your children are, you know, involved in activities that are, I guess, relatively safe, giving them the necessary protective gear, if protective gear exists, making sure that they're working with professionals who are trained to work with your kids to ensure that they're not getting injured, or even adults, and to really try to manage that. But what happens if an injury happens, you get medical help? What's the next step from a legal perspective, for example?
That's quite interesting, because whenever you play a sport or you are involved in a recreational activity, you are taking a risk, right? And the law recognizes that. And a lot of places and a lot of schools and a lot of these extracurricular activities that are offered for children and adults make you sign these legal waivers before you attend the trip or the experience or the sport. And basically what they try to do is cover themselves from any and all liability that could ever happen as a result of you participating. So that's a legal barrier. You got to read those very carefully before signing them, because it's basically a contract that says you will not be able to sue or go after them for anything whatsoever resulting from an injury. And in Cayman Islands, there's no consumer protection law here in place, unfortunately, that can help with that. So kind of a pitfall here.
Wow. So at what point do I know to call a lawyer? Like at what point do I say, maybe I need to call Tiz?
If you're unsure about anything, I mean, give us a call. There's no downside to it because we do give free consultations. And even if it's just a few minutes over the phone, we're happy to take your call and talk to you. And we'll let you know, like, yeah, this is something you should think about looking into, or no, don't bother.
Okay. And that's the beauty of Recover. You don't pay unless they recover. So Miss Olive says, good morning, Miss Sandy and Miss Tiz. I've learned a lot from Miss Tiz. I was involved in a car accident 2.5 years ago. One thing I can say is I'm sorry I didn't know about Recover long before I knew about them. They walk you through the situation step by step as they make sure you understand everything. And I would advise anyone in an accident, the moment you leave the hospital, go straight to Recover.
Oh, thank you, Olive. That's really sweet of you.
Yes. And the thing about it is sometimes you're literally not thinking straight when something happens, and probably lawyering up, especially if you grew up in this culture, is the last thing that you're going to be thinking about. But sometimes that is the right thing to do, because by the time you wait and then people start to give you the runaround. I mean, you and I, Tiz, were talking about a situation last week. A lady, unfortunately, they've allowed the time to be able to put in a claim to run out. And it was heartbreaking hearing this woman cry because her husband, who has sustained an injury, now has mounting medical bills. They can't afford it. They work on minimum wage. And, this is something that could really financially ruin them. But because they waited and they've now run out of time, funny enough, she said to me, I kept going and talking to Chris Saunders. I kept talking to Chris Saunders thinking he could help me. And I was like, what's a politician going to do?
Yeah.
And the thing is, for me, instead of a politician saying, I can't help you with this, you need legal advice, right? Pushing you in the right direction to go to the experts. They keep telling you, call me back. I'll see what I can do. And next thing you know, the time has run out and you've wasted your time. And this woman is distraught, not knowing now how this bill is going to get paid. And sadly, her husband's health in the future and his ability to work has been impacted. What's he going to do? So tell us a little bit about time limits. They're called statute of limitations, and what people need to know about, being injured and potentially having the right to make a claim through the court system.
So in the Cayman Islands, the limitation period for almost all personal injuries is 3 years. 3 years from the date of the incident, the injury, the accident, whatever it is, which is quite a long time. I think that's a big window for you to get legal advice. But we don't recommend waiting to the end of that period. First, because lawyers are very busy and they might not be able to even have the capacity to take on your case and get everything issued by the deadlines. But number two, in those 3 years, so much could have been done to document your injuries, to get your treatment, to mitigate your circumstances, and to resolve the actual claim. So I don't advise anyone to put it off or wait years and years. In the situation that you were talking about earlier with the lady that ran out of time, unfortunately, the real sad part and the part that bugs me the most is that she was dealing with insurance company the whole time, and they did not advise her. Wow. And they say we don't have any obligation to advise you of anything. But that just shows you your best interests are not in their horizon. Like, they don't care. In fact, they sometimes play games and drag you along through that time period. And then when it's up, and you're out of luck. So important to get legal advice. I can't stress it enough. If you're not sure, give us a call and we can direct you.
Wow. So sad. So very, very sad. I remember when I first moved back to Cayman, I was talking to someone who's a really good friend of mine for almost 30 years now. And she was saying to me that her sister was actually killed in a car accident. And I remember saying to her, oh, did you guys sue the person that killed your sister? It was a drunk driver situation back in the, I think it was like 80s or whatever. And she was like, no, we could sue. And I found it so strange that people didn't know that. But I think that shows the difference between like the system in Cayman, people in Cayman, and overseas. Of course, I'm coming from the US where I'd lived for 15 years. I'm like, your sister's life was lost. Of course you could sue. You know, her life had value. She was a working woman. She was, you know, if the person's a professional, you get more. I mean, I was like, doesn't everybody know that they could sue for wrongful death? They could make a wrongful death claim. And apparently a lot of people don't know these things. As Olive goes on to say, because I didn't know about Recover, and I know I wouldn't have money for lawyers, so I just did what the insurance company said. And I'm so sorry as I'm suffering really bad. She goes on to say, I didn't even know that I was not supposed to sign a final payment form. So because at the time I didn't suffer any broken bones, I didn't think it was anything wrong. Now I'm suffering. And so this is a thing with injuries is sometimes, and this is why a lot of insurance companies rush to get you to hurry up and settle and sign on the dotted line, because it's to their benefit. Because some of the magnitude of your and the extent of your injuries might not manifest itself until, you know, months later, even years later. So you've got to be very careful, and you've got to get a proper medical diagnosis of what your injuries are, what has happened, and what the potential implications are for your quality of life. Otherwise, you rush and sign something saying, oh yeah, they're going to give me $10,000. You know, that's going to fix my car and cover my current medical bills. You're not looking far enough in the future.
Definitely. If that's one piece of advice that I could leave you guys with, is that don't ever rush into signing any paperwork with the insurance company before even getting a consultation with a lawyer, especially right after or shortly after the incident happens, because for them, that's the best case scenario for them. They get you to sign off, they close their file, and they move on. But for you, without knowing the extent of your injury, if you're going to heal, what your future is going to look like, if it's going to affect your job and your ability to function normally, that's the worst thing you could ever do, is sign that piece of paper right at the beginning. Yeah.
Wow. 936-2626. If anyone has a question or comment for Tiz, you can feel free to call. Vanessa says, can you sue the government for defamation of character? That's
a whole other show.
Definitely. Oh my gosh. Miss Brenda says that even lawyers will jerk you around with the statute of limitation. They shouldn't be.
Yeah, I've seen some cases like that. Unfortunately, sometimes you need to get a second opinion. And again, you guys can call us anytime. We will give you a free consultation. We're not out to take your file from another lawyer if you're happy with them or whatever, but just to know your rights and to know the limitation period that applies to your case. I think that should be said from the initial client meeting, and clients should be aware of it and track it and make sure. So sometimes lawyers are busy, they forget, they go on vacation, you know, they're behind. But the law is the law, and you need to stick to those. There's nothing you can actually do to start a claim after the limitation period. It's an uphill battle. The courts have said in the past that they wouldn't entertain it. So it's, you know, you need to be very cognizant of those dates.
All right.
And don't always rely on your lawyer that they're going to cover you, you know, just be on top of them.
Yeah. We've got a call on the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Hi, good morning again, Miss Sandy.
Good morning.
Good morning, Miss Tiz.
Good morning.
Okay, so as I stated before, I was never ever involved in an accident in my lifetime. So I don't know anything about accident. It wasn't of my fault because somebody ran in the back of my vehicle, because I try to be very careful the most I can on the road, but there's somebody out there who's not being careful.
Yes.
You know, and we have to out for that. However, at the time when I get the accident, I didn't have a broken hand, foot, or nowhere. So I'm like, okay, but I was looking at the road to see if any vehicle was coming and the person running my back. So that gives me a jerk, you know? And because of that, at this point now in my life, I am suffering from back pain and neck pain. Let me tell you, sometimes I'm getting up out of the bed in the morning and I have to wonder if my husband is looking at me. You know, like this little old woman. And I have to ease down, put my foot on the ground, then take another get up. And I mean, like, it's terrible. Sometimes I cry with the pain. And because I didn't know anything about accident, when I went to the insurance, they give me a paper to sign. But to sign that I can't claim anything more, something like that. And yes, I go ahead and sign it. It was the first I have done something so wrong in my life. And how I get to know that? Because of recovery. Because afterward, when I get to talk to them, and this lady, she's so sweet, Miss Tiz, she walked me through the entire process. And then I realized what I have done that was wrong, which it can be undone. You know, because you're talking now to the insurance. But I would say to anybody, if you meet in an accident, when you leave the hospital, go straight to recovery. Because of that accident. And I think it's because of that accident. Because when I went to the hospital the Monday, the Tuesday night I was feeling some pain. I took the painkiller that they gave me. The Wednesday I was up again. The Thursday I was feeling some pain and I went to the hospital at that point. And they told me I suffer 2 minor heart attack. And they sent me off to El City. And from there, I have an open heart surgery.
Wow.
Everything just starts unfold. And guess what? I'm here. I am stuck with bills. I am stuck with this. I am suffering. Sometimes I'm in the car and I drive at my destination, and somebody might think I am sleeping in the car. No, I am trying to get up.
Wow.
Because I can't move around as normal. But guess what? It's a bad lesson for me to learn, but I learned my lesson. And I don't want nobody else go through that. And the accident wasn't none of my fault. I've been driving for 15 years on Cayman Island. I have never, ever met in an accident until that person run in the back of my car. But as I said, lesson learned.
Yes.
I'm still going to press forward with it, but I'm keeping that to myself.
All right, my dear. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that.
I thank God for recovery.
Oh, sorry. I think I might have accidentally hung up on Miss Olive there. Sorry, Miss Olive. I was trying to answer another call. But we do have some other callers. The line is now open, 936-2626. Feel free to give us a call back. I think we had 2 other persons that were attempting to call in. So unfortunately, if somebody calls on WhatsApp, we can't answer a regular call at the same time. Because what I try to do is if it's a regular call, I'll answer multiple calls and just put them on hold and then allow the person to keep talking and go to the next in the queue. But unfortunately, if it's like mix WhatsApp and regular call, they can't mix like that. So somebody has to hang up.
Hello.
Hi, caller. Good morning. Welcome to the program.
Yes, Miss Sandy. How are you doing?
Not bad, dear. How are you?
Okay, hanging in there. Yeah, I can relate to your conversation this morning. I had a serious accident in the 80s. When I was working with a certain company here in the island where I got knocked down with their company machine from supermarket, which cost me 42 surgeries. At that time, the limitation, I think they told me it was 6 years. But the nice part about it was, which I ended up being permanently disabled, the nice part about this, the big shareholder of the company is also the leader of government business in the Cayman Islands at that time, and no lawyer. Miss Hill, I'm telling you, no lawyer, everyone wanted to take the case because it was a case they said that they couldn't lose. But the part with that is when they found out
Who
who was the big
involved?
shareholder of
Oh
the
my
company,
gosh. Yes.
they were told,
Oh,
if you take
wow.
the job, we would take your license from you. Thank you. I'll leave it at that. So
That's
figure
so
that one out.
crazy.
So today, I ended up with 42 surgeries, disabled at home. Thank you. Continue
Wow.
with your nice show. Let me hear what the young lady got said. I think she said the limitation was 3 years. At that time, in the 80s, was 6 years. They told me, the lawyers. And that time, I even I went off the island to try and recuperate, right? But the lawyers in Cayman were eager, even tried to get lawyers from overseas to work with the local lawyers here. And it couldn't be done because everyone was threatened
Wow.
by that.
I'd like to say something about that.
The leader in the government.
All right. Thank you so much, my dear. Appreciate it.
Yep.
A lot of people don't realize that if they get hurt on the job, employers, companies have insurance. So when you're bringing the claim, it's not against the owner of the business. It would be made through the insurance that they would have in place to cover for any injuries or incidents that happen on the job. So that's another thing that people don't really know, and maybe they're scared. Oh, if I have to sue my boss, I might lose my job, etc. But again, this is why we offer free consultations. We can walk you through what would happen in your particular case.
And can you talk a little bit, I know this might be a little bit off topic, but when someone comes to you, I know law firms do something called a conflict check, which is kind of what this guy was saying, is that every law firm is claiming that, I guess they were conflicted because of who the shareholder or the owner of the company was. How does the process of a conflict check really work?
So when you give us a call, we'll take your name and we'll take the other person or the company that you want to make a claim against, and we'll run a conflict check. So that conflict goes to each lawyer and certain staff members in the firm to make sure that there is no conflict, meaning we've never acted for the person or the company that you want to make a claim against, because we don't want to be in that situation. Or if the person or client or company is a long-standing, ongoing client, we obviously wouldn't want to get represented by the person making a claim against them. So once that conflict check clears, then we set up the appointment with the client. That's how it works.
So Ransford says, really? But there's no corruption in Cayman? That sounds like corruption to me. The leader of government. Well, what a mess. Get yourself a lawyer. And, sometimes lawyers, Tiz, I mean, maybe you can speak to this directly or indirectly, but lawyers are people too. So they live in this community. Do lawyers get pressured, even if there's no official conflict? Do sometimes lawyers get pressured not to take a case because of who the parties are?
Probably. I know in our firm, we have cases against we've had cases against politicians. We've had cases against public entities, and even the police. So, I mean, when you have a case, we're not scared to proceed with it through litigation, because at the end of the day, we're here to protect your rights, no matter who's on the other side.
Right. Very good. All right. On that note, Tiz Romano from Recover, here to protect your rights, no matter who's on the other side. That sounds like a slogan to me. Thank you so much. You can give them a call. This is the one for Broadhurst, but their number 929-9999. I see Mr. George Gillette asking for your telephone number. That is the best number to give them a call on. Mr. Gillette, if you WhatsApp me, I can send you some additional details if you need anything else. But 929-9999. Tiz, Thank you so much. This was very, very informative as usual.
Always a pleasure.
All right. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
All right, folks. Very, very interesting, informative session. Again, that's Tiz from Recover. Give her a call. She's got a partner over there. They do an amazing job at, making sure that all of your rights are explained to you. You understand what's going on. They just break it down in very easy, simple language. And they're there to have your back against, you go up against insurance companies. Remember, insurance companies always have lawyers. They're already lawyered up. They're ready to go, right? They're ready to nickel and dime you down to one little penny here and there. So get someone who can fight on the other side for you.
Ocean Ridge Heights offers an amazing opportunity to own a piece of land in idyllic Cayman Brac, right on the bluff, starting from $80,000. Located in a quiet residential area with high elevation, these lots are ideal for a future home or investment property and are sure to go fast. Cayman Brac offers a laid-back lifestyle, amazing pristine diving, limestone caves, diverse flora, along with amazing wildlife. Inquire about the owner financing options so that you can secure your piece of paradise today. With only a few lots remaining, these are sure to go before you know it. Contact Crichton Properties today on 345-949-5250 or info@crichtonproperties.com.
Recover Personal Injury Attorneys, helping injured people get what they deserve. Did you know that insurance companies have lawyers that represent their interests? Before signing and accepting any settlement, know your rights. Call us today for a free consultation at 924-9999. That's 924-9999. Recover. Your personal injury attorneys are on standby to assist.
Are you tired of overpaying for TV services? Can't figure out VPNs? Constantly missing your favorite TV shows? And no access to the good stuff on streaming services? The frustration is real, but it doesn't have to be. Contact Roque, Cayman Streaming Pros. We'll put you back in the driver's seat in front of your TV. Call, WhatsApp, or message Roque today on 926-1213. Roque is not a TV service provider. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, folks, welcome back. Thank you so much to Tiz Romano again from Recover. Very, very knowledgeable and useful information. Do give her a call, 929-9999, if you have any questions. She's the legal expert, especially when it comes to any personal injury. So let's talk a little bit about, speaking of personal injury, let's talk a little bit about this case. It's just been filed. So, of course, we don't know, where it's headed or what's going to happen. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Hello.
By the way, I love that talk.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so
beautiful.
much.
That's my kind of stuff. Oh, yeah.
Yes. And the nice thing about these is you can always dress them up with like a jacket and some nice slacks and,
Yes.
Mhm.
Cooler weather with a little scarf.
Mhm.
Anyway.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
It's very nice. I love that cap.
Yes. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I was waiting to hear, or
Mhm.
maybe it was said and I missed it.
Mhm.
But since we're talking about personal injuries, there is a statute of limitation attached to that. And it is 3 years, as that lady said. But what I did not hear is that that statute can be protected. And in other words, you may not seek medical treatment within the first year and a half, or maybe you have, not medical treatment, legal advice.
Legal advice, right.
But you've been getting all your medical treatment, you're being, jerked around by everybody else. And but as soon as you, get proper legal advice, if the statute is coming upon you and everything else is not in place, the way to protect that is to file your writ. But once that writ is filed,
Yes.
it protects the statute. In other words, 3 years can be up, 4 years, 5 years can be up, but your statute was protected. And I say this from personal experience. So that I just wanted to put out
Yes.
there. And I don't know if my comment was seen or not, but head injuries, head traumas. Don't have to be an injury, head traumas. And a trauma can simply be by your head, even an adult, rocking back and forth.
Yes.
Which is not the direction the brain was meant to be moving in. That can cause head trauma. And later on, head traumas can lead to brain tumors. Years later, people end up with brain tumors and they're trying to figure out, how did I end up with this? Where did this come from? Nobody in my family's ever had it. But when you look back, you'd had a head trauma maybe 4 or 5 years ago. Now, I say brain tumor, and let me please be careful with that, because you do have benign brain tumors, because you have malignant brain tumors. It can become either one. And all brain tumors start out benign. They don't necessarily remain benign. So, and of course, you have primary brain tumors, secondary brain tumors, but I'm not getting into that. I'm just saying the extent of what a head trauma can do. So if anyone suffers a head trauma, don't ignore it. And even if you fell, you were walking in the sidewalk, you slipped down, you hit your butt, your legs went out from under you, you rocked your head, your neck, and so on. In other words, to see, what's the word? Force that would cause concussions. Your brain has already suffered trauma. So you want to be careful with that. And even when you're feeling better from the concussion, and I say concussion in quotations, still do checkups, because you could have bulging disc in the neck. The fluid could have settled somewhere now in the brain that wasn't seen in the beginning. And this is where your problems really arise. I think Miss Olive's story is a testament to that. And be careful with insurance companies, because they will run you ragged, hoping that you never get legal advice if you don't already know that the statute of limitations will run out on you. And yes, you do have lawyers who will suck you dry and keep stretching things out. And then hopefully they think they can fire you as a client just before your statute of limitations run out. Okay, so beware of them too. So I'm really happy that they now have this in place on the island, because there are a lot of people who are suffering today because they didn't have the money to go and hire a lawyer to fight for their rights and, like you stressed, for the future of the injury. That's the important part. It's not present time. It's what you're going to be dealing with in the future. And to me, all of this, we have a labor office there with a labor tribunal and whatever else they call themselves. Especially if you're injured on the job, you shouldn't have to hire an attorney to defend you. That should be dealt with right there. They know what the law says.
Yes.
They don't even have a provision in the law for personal injuries on the job. Okay? And it's very sad. The other caller said he's permanently disabled.
Very sad. Thank you so much.
I don't know Miss Olive's, condition, but I would imagine now that, she's had open heart surgery. She's probably ruled, because being permanently disabled doesn't mean you're crippled, you can't talk, you can't move around. It's a medical distinction as to what your working capabilities are, and it's all determined based on what you did as a profession. But I would say to anyone, start memorizing the word lawyer. Get in a fender bender, get hurt on your job, and please do not think for 1 minute that you're offending your employer, because your employer is going to be the first one to offend you. Because when you can't come to work and produce for them, they're going to fire you. And they're not going to say they fired you because you were no longer able to the injury. They're going to say they fired you because you were inept, you're incompetent.
Right.
And everything that goes ugly against you.
Right.
So
right.
be ahead of the game. I have been through this.
Yeah.
I fought one for 9 years. But there's pretty much nothing more for me to learn as to what all of those people will do. There's no level they won't stoop to. What they say? But what they say about the thing, the tortoise and the race. It's not who gets to the line first, but who endures to the end.
Yes, very true.
But I raised my hand. Anyway, I just thought I'd pass that on.
Yes, thank you so much.
People need to know these things, you know. So
I appreciate it, my dear.
If you're ever in an accident, it doesn't matter how minor it is. When the police say to you, we're gonna call an ambulance for you, or we're taking you to the hospital, go with them. I don't care if you think you're okay. You are not okay.
Yeah, you'll feel it. You'll feel it later. Yeah. Sometimes the shock of the incident.
But just the refusal to go can go against you later on.
Right.
So go with them, have it documented, get a copy of your report. That's where it will start. If you have to do anything later on, that report, and that is whether it's a job injury or a car accident, any kind of accident. Do your report. Make sure you report it.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Happen everywhere. Okay.
Yes, my dear. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay.
936-2626. Good advice there, folks, for sure. A lot of times in the moment of an accident, you do feel like there's adrenaline running. You're like, oh, I'm fine. I'm going to be okay. Like I've seen people, and sometimes it's like embarrassment. Like I've seen people slip and fall and they jump right back up. And you're like, oh my gosh, they had a surge of energy. And part of it's the adrenaline. Part of it's like the embarrassment of like other people seeing you fall and whatever. And then the next day, the day after that, the week after that, you start to feel the aches and trust me, even whiplash, all these things, you don't always feel them in the moment, but still have a plan of action. As the last caller just said, go to the doctor, see a professional, get reports, start to be done. If the pain starts to increase and you start to feel the pain, go to the physician. Don't keep waiting. I think a lot of times, I've been guilty of this, just even with a little twist of my ankle, a little injury, whatever. You just kind of sit back and you wait thinking it's going to fix itself. And then, 5-6 months later, you're going to the doctor, the physiotherapist, talking about how long you've had this pain. And they're like, it's important to start physiotherapy in most cases right away to try to get it from not being a chronic injury or a chronic situation. Good morning, caller.
Miss Sandy, could you just give me a call after the show, please?
Okay. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
No problem. You're welcome, dear. All right, folks, we're about to wrap up, but apparently there's some sort of breaking incident that's happening in the Northwood area. Can't hear exactly what it is. But their road is, we understand, police cars have the road blocked off in the Northwood area. So hope it's not another house explosion, Cheryl. Try to find out what that is. But for now, I would say stay out of the area. Let the police do their work. And I'm sure in short order, we'll start to hear exactly what's going on. So we don't know specifically if it's related to the prison, because obviously the prison is very, very close to the Northwood area. So we're not sure about that. But something is causing some police activity, and a road blockage is what we're understanding in that area. So be careful out there, folks. Be careful. What a hot mess. Yes. So there is a case at Concussions with a slip and fall. I think a lot of people are like, over a grape. Well, I mean, we saw the legal papers. It could be more than just the grape. Like maybe she was saying, generally speaking, the floor wasn't kept clean or whatever. It's probably the case that she reached out to them, because it does mention she spoke to the manager. She probably reached out to them about getting her bills covered. And when you get pushback from people like, okay, I fell on your property and, how are we going to handle this? When you get pushback from people where they're like, oh, we're not going to do anything. We're not going to help you with, don't talk to us. That's when you're like, well, looks like I'm going to have to lawyer up. It sounds like this woman had some injuries, substantiated by medical reports and that sort of thing. So it is very, very interesting. And I think more and more, to be quite frank and honest, Caymanians are starting to understand that they can sue people. You have a right to sue people. You have a right to recover, hence the name recover, your, for your injuries. So your medical bills and this type of thing, you shouldn't, if you're not really at fault for the accident, you should not be paying those things out of pocket. And it doesn't matter who it is. I saw somebody commented about, I love Cost You Less. I'm always there shopping. And, I love this team there and nice people and whatever, but that doesn't have anything to do with it. That has zero to do with it. If you're injured and you sustain an injury, you have a right to have your bills paid. And it shouldn't be that you are going to come out financially in the detriment because somebody wasn't maintaining their storefront, their place. That's why people have public liability insurance. People have public liability insurance into the millions of dollars because these things do happen. And it's required as part of stratas and business licenses and stuff that people have insurance coverage. So don't feel any way like the last caller said, if you have to sue somebody, don't make it personal. You have to sue your employer. Don't feel like, oh my God, my employer's been so nice to me. Well, it's their job to pay you and hopefully treat you with some human decency. But if something happens and you got to recover, honey, child, pick up that phone, 924-9999, and you get your medical bills paid, because the stress and the finances of a big medical bill, you'd be surprised at what that can do to you. Really and truly, people have gone into financial ruin because of accidents and medical incidents. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Please have a beautiful, blessed day, and we'll see you guys tomorrow morning.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.